Ladies and gentlemen, boiled and cooled, come experience an extravaganza like no other. Feast your eyes and ears on things that defy, confound, mystify, and even melt your brain. Admission is free, liability is waived. So buckle up, kiddies. It's time for The Show.
What's up, everybody? This is That Weird Show, and of course, I am the ringleader of this freak show of podcasting. And before I bring on our guest and start throwing rocks at the hornet's nest on a few topics, I am going to do a couple of quick shout outs. The first one being that this show is streaming on Parapost Network Central. If you don't know what that is a page you can find on Facebook filled with other podcasts such as paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, conspiracies, music, movies, TV shows, whatever. And if you have a show of your own, reach out to them and they'll be more than happy to get your podcast streaming on their page. And best of all, it's completely free. Also, Street Noise Design, which is a graphic design venture that I've started recently. I do logo design, intros for podcasts, or any kind of social media ad, anything like that. Whatever you might need, get a hold of me, and I'll be more than willing to help you out. All right, now this guest that I have with me, I've had him on this show, I've had him on other shows, and we have a tendency to, well, you know how some people, by the end of the conversation, when you walk away, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you invited him. Well, that's kind of how we get with a lot of this stuff. So, as I say in the intro, buckle up. So, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Barron.
What's up, everybody? It's been a while. And you know what? I have to say, I absolutely love that intro. I was dying. And it was great. I absolutely love it.
Well, thank you. I mean, that I wanted it to be all about the weird and the freak show, and then also keep it old school carnival theme because I spent about almost half my life as a traveling carny.
I remember you telling me about that, and I'll tell you what, it is so fitting, and it suits you so well, and I love Raymond. I love our brother Raymond to death, but that just made me feel like I'm back. I'm at home. I'm happy. I'm like amped up.
Oh yeah. So yep, Raymond Newsom from Newsom Paranormal. If you get the chance, check him out over on Facebook, and I do believe he has a YouTube channel.
I think so.
One of my favorite videos that I've seen him do, and I know it's almost kind of cliche, but because it's coming from Raymond and not some obnoxious main celebrity, he did a paranormal investigation of the legendary Bobby Mackey's.
Mm-hmm. So he's been there several times, and I know he's been there with the Global Ghost Hunt. He was there with Brian himself, Brian Laverty, and I know he's been there with Spirit Mechanics and a couple of others. But Raymond does a great job. I love Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's Raven Hollow Productions on YouTube. I think it's his YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I think so. But
but so many things to start the show with. So many things to talk about.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, why don't you pick one quick subject and we'll just start with that?
Well, we were talking about the paranormal with Raymond and stuff like that. Let's talk about what we were just discussing backstage. What you just told me about, because I have to talk about. I want to talk about this, and that is those two Bigfoot hunters.
Yes,
found in Oregon. So, for those of you who don't know, Shadow just turned me onto this, and I didn't even know. There was two individuals that were found dead out in Oregon, searching for Bigfoot. First and foremost, guys, whether you're going in the winter, summer, fall, whatever season you're going, cryptid hunting or even investigating, be safe. Be safe. Know your limitations.
Right.
And let's be honest, brother. You and I both know this. that area, like outside of Portland and all that, that's all wooded area. That's not, down the street in home investigating, or even just on a local trail. That is thick woods.
Yeah. And especially when you get up in those mountainous areas, the weather becomes extremely unpredictable.
Yeah, it can change at literally a moment's notice.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you could leave the car and it's just a little cold, and in 10 minutes it's full whiteout blizzard.
Yeah.
So, for me, I mean, it's sad. I'm glad they were found. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's always sad to hear whenever a body isn't found, or let alone two. But I mean, looking at some of the photos that I'm seeing on my other screen here, I mean, that's some thick woods.
Yeah.
That is some
Absolutely.
dense area, and always have a game plan. Always have a game plan in place. And to me, I don't know how well the squash man.
Hmm.
Tanner, we just started. It's 7 minutes in. Screw it. The hide and seek champion strikes again. Uh, but I love Tanner. Yeah, 100% Renee, 100%. But I don't know what the weather conditions were like out there Christmas Eve, because I think you said what, it was Christmas Eve that they went out, or they were supposed to be back Christmas Eve or something.
They went out before Christmas Eve. They're supposed to be back by Christmas Eve. It's when they didn't show back up that the family, became concerned and sent out the notice to the local authorities that they were missing.
Mm.
Now, the only thing that I can say is it's not entirely clear, that at least not that I've seen yet, as to what exactly they mean by perishing to the exposure to the element.
I
It
mean,
could be cold. It could be, wet. It could have been, getting, I don't want to say lost, because I would imagine that, if you're a Sasquatch hunter or whatever, you have some sense of direction, or, of how to navigate through the wood.
you should.
Right.
Well, it says after a 3-day search involving more than 60 people's bodies of both men, 37 and 59, were found in this national forest located in the southwest part of Washington State, heavily wooded areas. So they were right off of a road, it looks like. So, it wasn't like they were too far. So it says exposure based on weather conditions and ill preparedness. So to me, it's just like they didn't think things through. It was more one of those,
Right.
hey, let's just go out.
Right.
I just think, to me, you should know better. Like,
Right.
you should know better, and especially when that type of Mister, we're back. Well, I'm back. I can't. We need to talk. We need to talk, Mister.
All right. So, real quick, this is Brian Lavity. He is the man behind Parapost. So he's one of the people you want to talk to if you want to get your show on Parapost and get involved with that network. It's also, if you're interested in Global Ghost Hunt, there's all kinds of links and people you can talk to about that as well. And then one of the other commenters, Tanner Rutledge, he has a podcast of his own, Ghost Hunters Advice.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's got another one.
He's got a couple. He's got one he does with his wife that is it's ever changing, and it's a lot of fun from what he's told me. He really enjoys it. And then he does his creative writing lives every once in a while too, which is really fun. Tanner's a great resource for really everything. He's like the multi-tool.
Yeah, I had him on this show before, and we talked about some hardware that we use as paranormal investigators. At least when I used to do that. More specifically, cameras and apps. And don't get me started on apps.
Yeah.
Those are fighting words as far as I'm concerned.
You and I are on the same page. The only app to me you should. Okay, yes. To me, the
Killer
only apps
pros.
you should be
Yeah.
you should be using is your camera and your voice recorder. Those are the only
Yeah.
apps that to me you can use, and maybe a flashlight if you're Raymond.
Right. I mean, when I saw people using the Ghost Tube SLS
Oh my
saying
god!
they got stick figures, I wanted to throw my phone so bad.
Yeah, I no. I mean, there's a couple that maybe, but it all comes down to validation to me. And
Right.
I think you and I have talked about it. I know Tanner and I have too, but these phones are not meant for that. They're not meant for
No.
like the spirit boxes, the ghost tubes, or the ghost radars. You see
Yeah.
those, or the obulist stuff. That's not what these things are made for. I mean,
Right.
even EMF, they're not made for this. That's not what
Mm.
their functions are. They don't have the proper equipment built into them to do that.
Right.
So no, I'm right there with you too. It's no, stop it.
Yeah.
Don't have me.
Yep. Thank you, Brian. And one other thing about Brian Laverty, if you're interested in watching other paranormal content, he does have his own channel, Huntophobia.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some of the stuff that he got on there, some really compelling captures for sure. So yeah, Huntophobia, Parapost Network, and Global Ghost Hunt. Check them all out.
Absolutely. And I know I've been out of the loop, so to speak, for a little bit, but definitely, guys, go check out any of those Parapost and Global Ghost Hunt. Great, great, great organizations to be a part of, and to honestly be a great community to be involved with.
Right. I mean, I have my own personal opinion because of my experiences with the field. Um, but yeah, if you're going to pursue anything that is outside of the ordinary, a couple of things. Number one is take everything with a grain of salt. Because I've learned that a lot of times you can have 5 people go to the same location and each one will have a different experience. And it doesn't mean that 4 are right and 1 is wrong, or 1 is right and 4 are wrong. It just means that each person has their own. Uh-oh. Looks like I lost somebody here. We'll see if he gets back in. Oh, there he is. There we go.
No idea. Everything just froze on me. I could hear you, and yeah, everything just disappeared on me. I went, okay, great. Let me reload. We
But yeah,
got a new
you know,
router and a new modem, and ever since it's just been like, are you serious?
yeah,
Mm.
I've had that issue before. But when you're doing this sort of thing, and the other thing I also want to point out is there are things out there that have been around longer than Homo sapiens or
Yeah.
any form of upper hominid had even been around. So don't kid yourself into thinking that you have the ability or the power to control these things. You might be able to get them to respond to you in a certain way, but that doesn't mean you have control over them.
Well, even look at like deer. Like
Mhm.
I hunt deer, and for those of you who do any audit or do any hunting, you
Mhm.
can go out, you can see deer. That doesn't mean you're going to get them to come over to you
Yeah.
or even show up. And actually, my daughter, she was so cute. She went hunting for the first time a couple days ago. So funny. She said, "Why don't you just call them?" And I said, "Well, you mean like they do have different things like a deer call and stuff like that." And she goes, "No, why don't you just whistle and say, 'Come here, dear, come here?'" And I was like, "Yeah, that'll work."
Yeah.
Oh, there's Felicia Angel. She's
Mhm.
Wicked Queen and I's girlfriend.
Do you think if they can, during the battery, I think they can screw around with your phone or manipulate it? Well, I mean, okay, so this is where you start to get into the really, I don't want to say obscure, but it was just so very little understood aspect of the paranormal or the supernatural.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that we've heard the same thing, that the idea is when it comes to spirit or entity, whether you believe in angels and demons or, whatever, the common connection or the common theme in all of them is that they're energy.
Yes.
Now, if it's possible that they vibrate at a different frequency, which, clashes with some of the frequencies in our equipment, and that's how we get those responses. Good example of that is electromagnetic energy, which is probably one of the easiest forms of energy that can be detected.
Yeah.
Um, well, then you also start getting into things with potentially demonic in nature.
Not like my ex demonic.
Yeah, well, I think most of us got an X we can think of when we first hear the word demonic.
I hear demonic
Or
and I immediately go to her. It's like,
yeah,
I must be a
demonic or
connection.
hellspawn. I got like a list of some of my actors that I think of right away.
Even Beelzebub went, no,
Yeah,
not mine.
yeah. I mean, you tell the girl, go to hell, and the devil's like, no, if you can't control her, what makes you think I can? Keep her out.
Don't send that to me. Don't send.
Yeah. Um.
Sorry.
See,
I've had
that's
this
why.
bottle. This has been a while, folks. It's been a while since we've been here together, so it's like bottled up.
Yeah, this is why I also have that disclaimer at the bottom, and I also put it in the description of the show.
You've been warned.
Hmm.
You knew what this was. But I mean, I'm assuming we're talking about like you were saying about spirits and entities and all that stuff messing with Quinn. I think we've all anyone who's investigated the paranormal knows that there's something that happens to our equipment when we go out.
Yeah.
Maybe not every time, but a majority of the time. Like I know when I've investigated for the Global Ghost Hunt, I had my GoPro fully charged the night before. Like we were talking over 24 hours of on the charger. Went out and it was dead, completely dead. I've had a full battery completely drain on me. I've lost files, video files,
Mhm.
and ended up finding them on, like, I have an external hard drive. I find them on the external hard drive. I never loaded them up to it. How did they get on there?
Yeah. Well,
I've always said, and I still believe this, in the paranormal, anything is possible.
right. Well, one of the things that I also wanted to point out, this is something that I think every investigator should keep in mind, is there's still a lot we don't fully understand as far as how our universe works, how
Yeah.
things are around the Earth. Because I've encountered some anomalies that I cannot just say is a natural phenomenon or a supernatural phenomenon, but they're just so bizarre, so weird,
Yeah.
um, and there's nothing logical behind it.
No.
And then that's why I used to like doing some of these investigations. Um, and the same thing can be said about whether you're doing this for, catching cryptids or UFOs or, if you're going to chase something like that, it's one thing to want to be open-minded, but you don't want your head to be a drain pool for bad ideas either.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well as a lot of other people, and I know with Mister in the room, he'll attest to this. When I say I have an idea, good or bad, it's never destructive. You know what I mean? And I I know you feel the same way. I think that there's no real wrong answer in the paranormal. That's why it's all theory. We it's not an exact science what we do. It's everything's theory. Like I could tell you that every ghost is purple. Can you prove me wrong? No. Can I prove myself right? No. It's a theory. It's what it is.
Right. Well, there's a place for discernment, but yeah.
Yeah, and of course, and that's the other side of it too, is you have to be open to others' ideas and thoughts and theories. Um, and we could get in here and get into paranormal politics, but I'd rather not. But the fact is there's so many what ifs in our
Right.
in the field, whether it's cryptid. Like I've heard, that Bigfoot is a dimension jumper. I've heard that he works for the government. I heard he's actually works as a quote unquote spotter for aliens. I've heard a lot. Even with Loch Ness Monster. Loch Ness Monster is actually, um, what was it? A spy or something like that for the government. I don't. I've heard so many different things.
Yeah.
I've heard so, and then I've also heard he's a robot. Like it,
Yeah.
it's they're funny, but at the same time, could be true.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard, and that's the funny thing about conspiracy theories, and that's why I like the whole idea of conspiracy theory in general, because it doesn't have to be just about the paranormal or UFOs, or it can be about government stuff. A good example of that would be the current drone situation.
Yes.
I mean, dang, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff about this Jersey drone sighting.
Yeah, I I don't know. Like I heard about it. I've seen a couple of things about it, and to me, I don't think it's anything government related, but at the same time, could be. I mean, they're the size of these drones that they're talking about are huge. Like
Right,
they're like small car huge. I can't. I know personally. I can't go to Walmart and pick them up.
right.
Those are special order. And I'm sorry, but the areas of New Jersey where they were at, let's just say they're not the richest.
Well, okay, so let's take that theory and go both human and alien. And we'll start with the fun one, the alien side. I've heard a lot of people say that these could not possibly be extraterrestrial in nature because the technology is too basic, too simple.
Yes.
Now, here's my argument for that. If you were an interstellar explorer and you were trying to examine a planet that had a mixed gas atmosphere, would it make sense to try to use a drone technology that would use rocket thrusters or anything like that, any kind of combustible engine that would require constant fueling, constant maintenance? Or would you use a drone system that uses some sort of battery or internal power and a fan-based system, which would take significantly less amount of energy?
True. For me, it would
So,
be the less energy.
right, so that, especially if you're going from between galaxies and galaxies, between stars and stars, because we all know if we pay any attention to astronomy, when you go those old cartoons, when you see somebody driving down the road and they'll show a sign, next rest stop, 1,000 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what that's like out in space.
Oh,
The
I'd
next
rather not.
planetary system, 100,000 light years away. So, you know,
Yeah. Sorry, I was on my Facebook, guys. If you're watching and we're not acknowledging your comments, we're not seeing them. I don't know what it is, but there's certain pages on Meta for some reason it doesn't show up. So if we're not seeing your comment, it's nothing against you. It's just we just don't see it.
oh, yeah. Because I see some from the main page and then some from YouTube, but I'm not seeing too many from Parapost. I'm going to switch over
Oh,
on my Facebook on this side here.
I guess. Hold on. I guess I need a. Okay, I guess I don't have a green screen. Cool. Don't care. That's fine. I lost my green screen.
All right.
Oh, it's always
Yeah.
fun with technology.
Now, what are your thoughts about all that? Possibly being with alien technology and all that.
I mean, the drones themselves, I doubt it. I
Right.
highly doubt it. I mean, I still believe that I believe in the Men in Black theory. If you don't know what
Mhm.
that is, the short version, aliens are here. They're among us. They're checking. They're all around us. Stuff like that. We've met them. Some of us could be. Some of you could be. don't know. We just don't know. They fit right in with the general public. I mean, that also could tie in with why we have doppelgangers or these weird, twins that just magically show up in our
Right.
lives. But regardless, I think that they're smarter than that. If they have these drones and these different things that are watching us, spying on us, whatever, they have to have some sort of cloaking or at least IR to where they don't need lights. We would never notice.
Right.
And if they're using some sort of power system, to me, I think they'd be smart enough to have something silent to where we would never know. We wouldn't know that they're around, and even if we did, it would be during the daytime. I mean, look at a lot of these sightings, these UFO sightings. What's the one thing that is never with it? Sound.
Right.
You hear a plane go overhead, you hear a helicopter, you hear it, you know it. These things, nothing. You hear
Right.
nothing. So you can't tell me that they have the technology for a big ass ship to be flying around doing these things in the middle of the day with no sound, but they somehow perfected it during the night or they dumbed it down to a drone.
Right.
Something's up. And especially with military bases being within a couple 100 miles of that area, I think it was just a failed. If anything, it might be just a failed military attempt for some kind of new spyware that they're trying out, and they
Right.
failed, and they just thought, okay, well, we're just not going to point the blame at us. We didn't do anything. Never.
Now, here, let's take that over to the human side. I've heard how a lot of people think that this is a military exercise. It just becomes a question of which military is it? Is it the U.S.? Is it Chinese? Is it Russian? With the way the political climate around the world is right now, it could be anybody.
Definitely
now,
not Kenyan. It's not Kenyan. I know that.
Yeah.
Kenya's fine.
Yeah.
I had to throw that out there. It was Ethiopia.
Here's the other thing. This is something that happened right about the time that this all started to be take place. There's a biolab. I forget exactly where it was, but 100 vials of viruses went missing.
Oops.
Yeah, a little bit.
Someone's getting fired.
Yeah. Or they're going to be the next tech subject for the next strain.
Right.
Yeah, so the idea that these could be used to deploy a virus at night in low populated areas where, like you said, these aren't rich neighborhoods.
Nope.
So if you disperse it in a neighborhood that doesn't quite have, the population doesn't quite have the resources to get the best medical treatment, or would you disperse it over a rich neighborhood where most of the people have some sort of ventilation system and mask and access to, doctors and all that? So there's that possibility that this could be a viral test or viral attack.
See, here's the thing. And I'm not trying to pick on any area by themselves, but to me personally, if you want to be twisted enough to test some kind of biologic on somewhere, Montana. There is fuck all there.
Yeah.
Get it to me. If you have, say, this 100 vials, go to a town that has 100 people. It's easier to monitor.
Maybe easier to monitor, but I mean that's if it's a like an actual test or even a stimulation. But if this was an attack, why would you want to go to such a sparsely populated area?
See, if it was an attack, I'm going to, especially given the time frame, just before the holidays, go to New York City. Go to DC. Go to an airport that has international.
Right, but here's the thing: if you do something in a hugely populated area like that, detection becomes quicker. Whereas you get to these, lower income neighborhoods, the first thing that most people would think of when somebody goes into a hospital or sick is, oh, they live in a really poor neighborhood, so they
Yep.
probably caught something over there. Whereas if you get into a large populated area and all of a sudden things start popping up in places where they normally wouldn't,
Well,
then you start to have, that you got people sounding alarms, you got, people in hazmat suits flying in, you've got, everything else.
media coverage.
Hmm.
To me, I think it all depends on what your goal is. Like,
Right.
if you're just looking just to test it out, go to like the places that have literally nobody or nothing. Just like they did for the atomic bomb testing. Go out in the middle of nowhere. Find a town
Right.
that has 100 people, just go and, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not condoning this, people. I'm just saying if we were twisted enough to do this, that's what I would do. If
Right.
I was looking for somewhere with exposure, especially right before the holiday season, go somewhere like that has an international airport. Go somewhere
Right.
close by that, because if you're trying to expose people, that'll be the quickest way to do it. It's more condensed, it's more populated, and on top of that, what do people do at airports? They go different directions. So
Mm.
instead of just having one area affected, you're having a whole nation, world, whatever affected. But
Right.
that's me. That's what I would do. So FBI, I'm saying if I were to, if you're listening, I would not, and I'm not going to. But I'm saying, think about it.
Yeah. No,
If Big Brother's watching, I'm not going to do this. Okay, I barely know how to make a grilled cheese, so don't worry about me. I'm not a threat. I'm a consultant. Vicky.
Thank you for Abyss Paranormal.
I love Vicky. Vicky and her team are amazing.
Yeah, I actually helped make their promo for I think it would both spring and October Global Ghost Hunt
Mm-hmm.
2024.
Yep.
Um,
I love those guys.
so yeah, so that's one thing that we can talk about.
Maybe it'll be like me and Raymond's video. We'll start talking about the government, and all of a sudden, just my computer will shut down. Everything will go out.
I would not be surprised because, like I told you earlier, YouTube has already pulled one of my shows.
It was funny. We were talking about the government, and we were talking about the church and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, my power went out. I lost everything. Like, we were in mid conversation, and I was like, "Ah, shit!" So I went have a cigarette, and I was just waiting to hear. Because I told him, I said, it's either going to be the Secret Service or the Catholic Church showing up.
Yeah. Now, Tanner's comment here, Night Shows by Dean Koontz. I know who
Yes.
Dean Koontz is. I love his book. I'm not going to compare him to Stephen King because they're both completely different styles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Dean Koontz, if you like those kind of horror novels, if you like them, deep mystery novels, check out Dean Koontz. He did one that actually was one of my all-time favorites by him, called Twilight Eyes. And this is about a guy who was with, guess what? A traveling carnival. So, yeah, I mean, Dean Koontz is a very enjoyable reader, so check him out.
Yeah, Felicia was there. You know what's funny? And I know in my post, if you saw it on Facebook, I do have a special announcement later on. Felicia is actually involved in this little announcement, and I'm excited about it. I know the Wiki Queen's excited about it too. You're gonna be like, oh shit. Actually, no. I think you, brother, are gonna be excited about this. You're gonna be like, I better get an invite.
Right. All right. So,
The one thing I did want to talk to you about, and I have a little list of different conspiracies and different things that's been going on that I want to talk to you about.
okay, before you say anything, there's
Yeah.
no proof I did any of those.
No. This is an intervention. No, I think if anybody's getting an intervention first, it's me. Ooh. I'll have to listen to that.
There we go.
We should do a show about that. Get Tanner on.
Yeah.
But no, one thing I want to talk to you about, and I don't know if Neil's watching, but I know he was probably going absolutely nuts about this, and that's Jubilee, the Vatican Catholic Jubilee.
Yes. Okay.
Now, what I really don't understand is normally for Jubilee, and for those of you who don't know what Jubilee is in the Catholic religion, every couple of years, I think it's like 5 years or so, the Pope usually opens 4 doors, and that's key. Remember 4. And it's a time of basically forgiveness and revitalizing yourself and being back in the faith and forgiving not just others but yourself. And that's huge. That's huge in Catholicism and a lot of religions. A lot of the first step is forgiving yourself.
Right.
Now, my thing is why did the Pope open the doors early? Why did Jubilee start early? Number 1. Number 2, they opened a 5th door. So he opened a 5th door this year instead of just the regular 4. So why did they add that? And my other question about this, and I saw this on TikTok, who the hell let the camera guys in? Because if you watched the Pope open the first door, there was a camera crew inside that room facing the Pope.
Mm.
Where did they come from? That door was sealed up.
Yeah.
And if it was supposed to be live, uncut, raw footage, how did they get inside to... Because the Pope's supposed to be the first one in.
Yeah.
He's supposed to lead us into this time of Jubilee. Were they in there for the past, 20 years?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where does that freaking camera crew come from?
The only other explanation is that there's some sort of workaround that the Vatican has managed to work up or put in place to be able to allow this in such a way so that it wouldn't violate or break the tradition. Because, I mean, even so, realistically, there still has to be people that go in there to prepare that place for the Jubilee. So, I mean, I think, like I said, maybe there's some sort of gray area that they were able to find that would allow them to be able to do that.
Maybe I can see that. Maybe like a side door or a back door or some kind of, I don't want to say ritual, but some kind of statute that they could use. But I know they can't really go through that main door because it's sealed. It's sealed by concrete. I just me personally, I like the thought that there was a camera crew in there for 20 years just hanging out.
I have a lot of questions about when it comes to unusual religious things like that. Jonathan Meyer from Crossover Paranormal. Thanks for stopping by.
He's a good one to watch too.
Yeah, I've been on his show. He's been on mine. We've talked, and it's funny. Of all the paranormal investigators I've met, he has got to be the most chill you will ever meet.
He really is, and I've investigated with him personally, and he is. He's very laid back. What you see is what you get with him, unless you go to that one bridge. There's a bridge did you see that video where he freaks the fuck out?
Yeah, he actually sent me that video so I could enhance the audio because of the sound that he heard. Because you see him and he's just in there, just standing there, just his usual kind of calm self, just talking about something, and all of a sudden you hear something and you just see Jonathan grab that door, open it up, and just
nope, I ain't doing that.
Never seen. Yeah, you never see him move that fast.
So, for those of you who don't know, Jonathan is very laid back, very chill, very mellow, very monotone, very wonderful personality. Wonderful personality. But he's a good old boy. It's the best way that I can describe Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen him worked up. Never seen him angry. I've seen him sad, of course, but I've never seen him scared. He's he gets startled. He goes, "Oh shit! That was weird." Yep. He literally jumps off the freaking deep end. He hears the sound, and you just hear "fuck."
Yep.
The fuck was that? It's like,
yep. Yeah, you almost never hear him swear.
Never. What was funny was Pops is he's already in the truck. He goes, "Told you."
Yep.
Told you.
Yep.
I love his dad. I love Pops. But no, that was just the Jubilee is just that to me is still in my head that just kind of odd.
Yeah.
Like why this year? Why this Jubilee? Open all 5 doors. And something else that was brought, and I've done a little research. I haven't really done a lot of research to it. Is they have like a wall of popes or whatever you want to call it. They have it's a papal wall that has a bunch of pictures of all the popes in history.
Yeah.
They usually have open slots for all the other popes. Like they have even the cardinals. Like they have even to this day they have open spots for the next coming cardinals for their pictures. Kind of like in preparation for whenever a pope passes or whatever. But for some reason, they ran out. They don't have any more spots open for the pope. This pope is the last pope, according to this wall of this papal wall. There is
Right.
no more. There's going to be no more popes. So, is something going to happen? And that is another theory that's out there right now. Is something going to happen in the Catholic world that is going to be the end all to end all?
I mean, when you start talking about in religious matters, things like that of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
there's always going to be a voice somewhere that's going to have a theory. I mean, for all we know, it could be that they just haven't come to a solution to make room for it. Maybe they're going to have to go with smaller pictures to be able to condense everything down so that they can have the room. Maybe there's going to be another wall. Maybe there's just so many possible theories. And as far as this notion of something coming, regardless of which religion you talk about, every religion has a either the end of everything or the end of an age.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel that we could be experiencing a shift. In fact, there is a physicist who came up with a theory that's actually quite interesting. The Big Bang wasn't just the beginning of a universe, but it was the end of a previous one.
Yes. Yes. I've heard that one too.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that too. And I mean, the saying is you can't start something without ending something. It's just like good and evil. It's just like light and day. There has to be that balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's possible, Vicky. It could be a security camera. I don't think it was though. I mean, it's possible it could be, but I mean, that would have to take some really strategic placement and planning.
Yeah.
And she's talking about the doors, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
But I mean, the theory is, and I know you know this, that energy cannot be destroyed.
Right.
So there had to have been a catalyst for the Big Bang to set that off. There had to be something. There had to be some sort of energy source to basically start or detonate that Big Bang. So to me, that makes sense. Something, whatever happened prior, there could have been another civilization smarter than us. I still think we're the backwoods hicks of the universe, but that's me.
Right.
I think we're the banjo players with one tooth. We're the hillbillies. But I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. But again, just like in the paranormal field, anything's possible.
Right. Well, when I'm trying to remember where I heard this from. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson when he was on the Joe Rogan Experience.
I love that man, by the way.
And, well, he pointed something out that I can only imagine if I had the ability to see every atheist and science, people who are just committed to science, to see their face when Neil deGrasse Tyson said this, because this is something that, surprisingly enough, a lot of people who are into physics don't really know. The Big Bang Theory was first put forward by a Jesuit priest.
Isn't that interesting?
hmm And now everybody accepts that as mainstream science. And he also said, and this is something that I really find fascinating, an interesting way of looking at it. Religion doesn't distance itself from science. If anything, it should draw closer towards science, because science and religion have the same question: how did these things happen? Of course, from the religious perspective, how did God make this? How did God put this law in motion? So it's not that religious people can't be a follower of science, or look towards science to get answers or insight. It Science and religion have the same problem: dogma.
Yep.
So you get these people that are just, like the young earthers. I care for them. I hope for them. I hope that their faith in their salvation get them to where they need to be. But the idea that the earth is only 10,000 years old and that humanity is only 9,000 years old, I mean, even the Bible doesn't teach that.
Well, the only thing I will say about that is, and keep in mind, folks, for those of you who don't either know or remember, I'm actually an ordained minister. So I am a religious man. So I'm going to just say that first. But think about it this way: if you want to take the Bible as the word, back then they didn't have a time set like we have.
Mhm.
They didn't. A year to them or a year to us could have been 10,000 to them, or
Yeah.
vice versa. Which is, I think, to me, it's the more probable. Like the 7 days that God, or the 6 days that it took God to create the earth. We're not talking the 6 days by itself. It's not like Monday, Tuesday. No, not even close. I think what it's saying is a day could be, in this example, 1 day 1,000 years.
Mm.
That's what it could have been. That's, to me, the more probable.
Right, and you actually see that in the Bible. A day with the Lord is as 1,000 years.
There you go.
But
So,
also, when you say the 6 days, it may not even be trying to imply that everything happened in that day. It could have been like, on this day, God set this in motion. And then after so much time, it came to pass.
I think, to me, the most thing that brings me, I don't want to say comfort, but more understanding, is the 1 day equals, say, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. Because let's be honest, it's everything that you're talking about. Everything. I'm not saying God couldn't just go and have everything there. Thanos everything. But I think what they're talking about is a lifetime, an entire lifetime. And I'm not saying just one person, so I'm not saying 100 years or whatever. I mean one humanity lifetime. So
Right.
10,000 years per day. We'll just, for all intents and purposes, we'll just say that. So day one is 10,000 years to us.
Right.
Day two, another 10,000. So there's 20,000, and so on and so on and so on. So you're talking 60,000 years that it took God to create everything perfect. But again, like the Bible says, 1 day with Him is equivalent to 10,000 or 1,000 with us.
Right.
So
and that's just a loose connection. I mean, there's no guarantee that that's the exact number.
exactly. And again, this is just speculation and just theoretical talk. But I mean, it makes sense, though. It makes complete sense. I mean,
Right.
and it even ties into the paranormal community too, because there's a theory out there that the spirits don't know time or days and stuff like that. Their days and
Right.
time frame are messed up.
Right.
Even the intelligent ones that'll have a conversation with you, they're not 100% on the days.
Right. Well, realistically, time is really a man-made concept,
Exactly.
and we only came up with time to measure our days. As far as you've heard a couple of jokes. One joke was time was created so man could sell watches. Another one is that time was created so that man can figure out how much he should be paid.
I believe that.
But time was never really a thing until probably around the time of ancient Egyptian. Well, the current ancient Egyptian, because if you're a conspiracy theorist, there are theories that ancient Egypt can go past well beyond just 5,000 years.
Which that's next on my little conspiracy talk.
Well, there's that one. I have a laundry list of conspiracy. I'm not going to be able to get to them all, but
Obviously, I mean, we could do a whole series on this.
oh yeah,
I'm
but
I'm more focused on the Sphinx, what they just discovered over at the Sphinx.
well, what gets me is even with all the evidence for water erosion and with our understanding of the climate changing, because for a long time people used to say that the Sahara Desert has been around for like 10,000 years. Well, and then they changed that to about 5,000 years. Regardless of what you think, if you actually look at the water erosion and you understand how water erosion works on limestone like that, the time that Sphinx would had to have been around to receive the amount of rain over the amount of time to cause those erosion would push that thing back as far back. I think they were going to potentially 20,000 years or more. And even ancient Egypt said this was here when we got here. This is from the time before. The anomaly of the Sphinx head compared to the rest of the body.
Well, here's something else too. What about the other sphinxes that are around the world? Here in the U.S., we have some.
Right.
In the Americans, they have some. They have them all over.
So here's the weird thing about the idea of the Sphinx. You hear people talk about, the mathematical anomaly where you can have multiple people have the same idea at the same time. This is true.
Yes.
But the likelihood that you have culture put the same amount of emphasis and the same amount of focus on that constellation in that specific pattern, somebody had to have taught them something somewhere. And not just to one group either.
Or it's like hieroglyphics. They've seen what appears to be Apache helicopters, laptops, UFOs, flaming chariots in the sky. Wonder what they could be.
Right.
Astronauts.
Well, have you seen the handbag theory?
I've heard it, but I haven't dug too much into it.
Okay, so if you look at ancient Babylon and certain ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, as well as those in Mesoamerica, they all have their gods holding the exact same shape handbag.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is that these handbags are also found on the top of one of the towers at Göbekli Tepe, which dates older than all these other civilizations.
It's not Prada, is it?
Is it a Prada? It could be Dolce & Gabbana.
Oh. Maybe it's a Dunienberg.
Yeah.
Dad joke for the day, folks. Dad joke for the day. You've been warned.
Cave paintings and artwork dating back, 6,000 years. Which, it's interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things that connected with the Jubilee and with Catholicism, and it's not as focused as it is with the Jewish belief, but there is a solar and lunar cycle that they rely on, that in which all their prophecies are connected. And we're supposed to experience a planetary alignment that we haven't seen for a long time.
We're always, it seems like every year there's some sort of new astrological anomaly that's happening every year.
Right. Well, the reason for that is because no matter how you look at it, the way the planets rotate, there's going to be alignment. What's interesting is that you have cultures spread out throughout history that'll tell you what specific alignment to look for. See, now, if you have a civilization that doesn't have computers, how can they figure this out?
I do believe and this is just my thought, that our great, however, great ancestors, wherever we started, this, whatever this is, I think they had help. They had to have. I
Mm,
mean, you take some of the most creative individuals in our time. How can you do some of the things they've done?
right.
And I'm not talking about like the Sistine Chapel, for example. That is an absolute wonder, an archaeological wonder. When was the last time our civilization built pyramids? When was the last time we've taken granite and chiseled that? Limestone, bedrock. With the tools they had.
Right.
We're getting smart. Our technology is getting smarter, but we're getting dumber. Is what it's coming down
Absolutely.
to. So to me, I think something they had to have help. They had
Mm.
to have, and the signs are there. I mean, you're talking. There are some. I forget what civilization or where this was at, but there was some kind of structure that they found that actually had laser-like cuts into the stone, into that structure. I can't remember which one it was, but
There's a few of them.
there was one in
Um,
particular. I don't want to. I don't think it was Mayan, and I don't think it was Aztec. But
well, okay, so there's Sacsayhuaman. That's when we had those massive stones that are cut such weird tetrahedral shape
yeah,
with such precision that you can't slide a sheet of paper through, and they can actually retain water.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Um,
Like you,
then there, yeah, then there's Teotihuacan. That's the one that had the H block.
I think that's
Those are
the
the
one.
ones.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because that's the one that has such insanely precise, perfect 90-degree corners. If you can run your finger on the edges of the corners and they're sharp after how many thousands of years they've been sitting there.
Well, I know
Um,
I know there was some that they did some dating on, and they did some research, and they found charring, like you would find it with lasers, like scarring, like what you would see with like laser surgery. See ya, brother.
have a good one.
But
Uh,
they found it, and they've said this is actual burning, like it looks like a laser. How did they get a hold of this? There had to have
hmm.
been something. Like, to me, it makes too much sense.
Well, there's two things. One, this is actually I can't remember the name, but there's a town, an ancient archaeological site, or a whole town, where the body were just found strewn everywhere, like they just dropped dead.
Yeah.
But all the walls of the building showed signs of vitrification, which is something you would normally experience in either a solar blast
Hmm.
or a nuclear blast.
Hmm. And for those of you who aren't sure about that, think of Hiroshima, how
Hmm.
the shadows are still burned into the city itself that are still standing. That's
Yeah,
what it. That's what that is.
right. Now, when it comes to something like that, if it was a solar blast, that should be a good example of why we need to take better care of the environment to make sure that our electromagnetic field remains stable. Of course, you also have the theory that's been put forward by Charles Hapgood about the magnetic pole shift. That's a scary thing to think about.
Just one day,
Um,
the Earth just
yeah,
says, "Nope, fuck it."
yep, pretty much. Then you also have the idea that if and this is one of the things that was popularized by ancient aliens, um, that and Aquanet. Uh, I'm seriously, Georgia. How do you get that hair up like that?
Uh, I I'm still trying to figure it out, and actually, I was trying, but then I just decided to give up. I mean,
Yeah, but the idea with that, another civilization had the power to come down and just obliterate cities with nuclear weaponry.
hmm
And we see these evidence of, well, potential evidence for nuclear attack, because you also get what's known as nanodiamonds, and that's something that's usually comes only one of three ways: a volcanic blast, an asteroid hit, or a nuclear blast.
Yep.
and you see these nanoparticle or nanodiamond in places that's nowhere near a volcano, and there's nowhere near a known or visible crater site for an impact site from an asteroid. So you're kind of left with the one theory of a nuclear assault of some sort.
Well, and the other thing too, I think a lot of people forget about is when they hear about a nuclear attack or assault or an explosion, they're thinking nuclear bomb. No, that's just the way we made it.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways that you can go about a nuclear attack. It's not just taking a big torpedo looking thing and just dropping it out of the sky and going boom. No, there's different ways you can go about doing this. I mean, I don't see that, especially like back in those days, I don't see that just becoming an oopsie. Like somebody just, especially back then, just, cooking up some kind of herbs or medicine and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, boom, nuclear fission and just boom, they go bye-bye.
Ancient meth lab.
Yeah, you never know, but Breaking Aztec.
Yeah, pretty much.
That needs to be a show. Somebody get on that.
Oh man!
Instead of what was the Apocalypto? Instead of Apocalypto, it's just like do the same thing but a meth lab.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can almost hear it. Introducing a new film by Mel Gibson, Apocalypto and Breaking Bad,
featuring Rob Schneider.
Yeah. Yeah, him in a Mayan headdress. Do you mind? I'm trying to cook something over here.
You just see Johnny Depp running in the background. He he misses the memo and is dressed as Jack Sparrow, and you just see him just running through the background. Oh shit!
But the other theory about the whole laser thing that you mentioned before, there's this. There's a really strange theory that I thought was really interesting, and that is, and this is specifically dealing with the Egyptian pyramid. You know those shafts? There's several shafts in the Great Pyramid.
Yep.
4 of them actually point to where I think it's the Orion constellation.
Yep.
The Pleiades during the 4 equinox and solstices. But there's also some shafts that they don't quite understand because they're blocked off. If these were meant for air, why would you block off an air shaft? The other thing they found is that when they were finally given the permission, and this only happened once, because once they made this discovery, all further examination of these shafts were shut down. And what they did is they figured out a way to create a little drone or rover to fit inside those shafts and go up. And they came up to one of the blockades, and they noticed that there was some corroded copper element along with certain symbols painted on the surfaces. This is the kind of stuff that this is the kind of stuff you would find on circuit board. Now, they also found that in the chamber beneath the pyramid, they found chemicals, and then they also find burn marks. So you have this idea that chemicals were poured into a room, combustion was created, and these vents, along with the ones that were both open and the ones that were sealed, would create something very unique, because the shafts that are open to the skies, the dimensions are cut out almost perfect for a laser beam frequency to get the waves to bounce for a very specific frequency. And so there's a theory that they was probably sending out some sort of beam to the Pleiades during the 4 equinoxes and solstices.
Well, and that was what was kind of leading me to the whole thing with the Sphinx is they find or have found these pathways, hallways, whatever you want to call them, underneath them, and including rooms. They found rooms underneath the Sphinx, and there's been a couple books throughout the years, and I'm talking not just our lifetime. I'm talking thousands of years back, that there are these guardians, if you will, of the Sphinx. And there are booby traps. I mean, you're talking like Indiana Jones type stuff underneath the Sphinx. And there are creatures, or demons as they're called, underneath, protecting the secrets. And for some reason, they will not allow people to research that and go underneath anymore. And there was one guy who was given permission to go and investigate this stuff. And he started out by saying that there was all this stuff down there, and yes, there is something down there, the ancient Egyptian library. And then they all of a sudden just stopped.
Yep.
They completely stopped, and he denied everything. And he didn't just say, "No, no, it didn't happen." He got pissed
Yep.
about it when he was questioned, and so people are speculating, well, what just happened down there? What is actually down there that is making him go back on what he's saying? And it's not like it's just some crackpot out of backwoods checking this out. He's well renowned, like he is the man
Yeah.
for Egyptology and archaeology. Like he's like the guy. And now all of a sudden he's going back on what he said and denying everything and saying, "Oh no, well there's nothing down there."
Right. Well, Egypt is probably one of the easiest cultures to question, just because between Egypt and Sumeria, no other culture really has such a clear written history that dates back that far.
Yeah.
Then you have cultures like India, if you know the Mahabharata, which is one of the Sanskrit writings of India. They talk about a civilization that goes back further than what conventional science says is even possible.
Yep.
And again, I've already referenced Göbekli Tepe. There's another place called Northern Tepe. Now, it's not as old as Göbekli Tepe, but this was a very unique archaeological site. And in 1974, 1975, the team were told to wrap up the archaeological dig because they were going to flood the whole area as a result of building a dam. The dam wasn't really that necessary, but why cover it up? And you can still do scuba underwater archaeology, but this is now even tougher. And we all know now, with Göbekli Tepe being the crown jewel of all this, getting permission to continue digging out there in an area that has so much civil unrest and so close to the Middle East, you're not going to get out there and continue.
No. And see, that's the other thing too. And what I don't understand is our governments, and I'm not just saying here in the U.S., I'm saying around the world, they are all after, apparently, the history. They want to know what happened. Like, even, like, I'm not going to get really into it, but even, like, the truth about what happened with Jesus and his crucifixion. We're all, everybody's talking about that. That's all what they're after. The shroud. So what I don't understand, and I've said this to actually the Wicked Queen before, if you find something that is mind-blowing, that can open up a lot of opportunities to learn more about our history and human history, and a lot of the main historical stuff, why stop?
Right.
Why? Why would the governments want to stop? So, I mean, I know over in the Middle East, obviously, as we know, war equals money. That's what it is, and it's a sad truth. But, we only know a certain amount of our history. And if you find something that is that big, why stop?
Right.
Unless you want to cover something up. To me, everything that, like, over in Egypt and other places like that, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, and you're kind of making it like pretty blunt that you want to hide something. So to me, you're going to have more questions.
Well, I think that's kind of a double-sided situation, because on the one hand, yeah, there is that whole very real possibility of them trying to hide something or cover something up because it threatens the narrative, it threatens their whatever position of power or sway they may hold over people.
Yeah.
Because I mean, no disrespect to any religion. Just want to make that clear. But we all know that there are, and every religion has this. There are people in the upper rank that will use people's faith against them.
Yep.
So that's one possibility. The other possibility is this: you have a lot of people who have built an entire career on being the go-to, the expert, the one who knows everything about this or that. So anytime you have something that can potentially destroy that, now they have to go through the whole research process again. They're going to have to go and rewrite all their papers. I mean, this is expensive and time consuming.
Yep.
So now you have all these, what some people would like to refer to as gatekeepers. They've now created this whole industry, and this is kind of a weird segue to a little bit later, but this has affected education. Because I've come up with a saying: whoever controls information controls the mind, and whoever controls the mind controls the nation.
Yep. And that's just it. Like, I think what it comes down to is, and it's like we've said before, you get a group of people who want the truth, who want to act like they're for everyone's best interest, but at the same time they're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of it because, again, they'll lose the power.
Right. That's why I kind of like, can't remember if it was Pluto. I mean, Plato.
I was gonna say Pluto.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah. Plato, Seneca, maybe Pythagoras. But one of the great philosophers came up with the saying, if the truth shall kill them, let them die.
I think that was Plato.
Right.
That sounds like a
Well,
Plato thing.
right. And I know that's kind of a very cryptic and morbid way to look at this, but honestly, that may not be the worst thing to happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, I don't want people to die, but some people just need to have that,
Well,
little kick in the ass every now and then.
I still believe a purge night wouldn't be the worst idea here in the U.S., but that's just me. Just one.
Yeah, but
guys.
knowing our luck,
Please.
we're gonna have that one idiot that just like, nope, 5 more minutes, I almost got the record.
That would be me.
Yeah. So.
Oh. I tell you what, at my old job, we were joking about a purge night, and I said I would stand right out front, and as soon as the customer walks up, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to get some food." "I'm going to try it again."
Yep.
"I'm going home." "Good call."
Yep.
That's what I thought you said. I just wanted to make sure.
But yeah, as I mentioned, a weird segue, but I do have another thing that I kind of thought we should probably talk about real quick.
Okay.
How the American education has gone from an institution to teach you how to think to an indoctrination center that tells you what to think.
I'm so glad you said this because I know this is a kind of off topic, but it tells you the mindset. I saw a TikTok, I think it was today, and I showed the Wicked Queen. There was a student that was arrested for killing his teacher at school for taking his Nintendo Switch. And no, I am not joking. It's one of those TikToks where there's the body cam from the police.
Right.
And it's one of those multiple parts. Yeah. Some kid literally killed his teacher and then asked, what did he do wrong? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but our kids are getting dumb.
Well, dumb, entitled, disrespectful. I mean, I remember when I worked at Arby. I'm not going to say his name, but we had a young kid come in, And I can tell this kid never really knew what work really was.
Oh God.
And imagine being, oh yeah.
I couldn't, Renee. I couldn't.
But within the first week, he didn't have an apron tied like he was supposed to, and he wore sunglasses on his hat. Look forward as he's making French fries. Sunglasses falls into the deep fryer vat.
Don't tell me.
Says, "Oh, I guess I'll have to buy a new pair of sunglasses," and doesn't do anything about it. When the manager hears about it, she's like, "What's wrong with you? You got to turn this off." And she's going through the whole process of turning it off, shutting it down, draining it, cleaning it, and he just stood there.
Okay.
A week after that, same guy, I watched him break out into a wheezy sweat at the cash register.
What's sad is, and actually, our girlfriend that's in the audience, Felicia, she'll tell you about this too. I don't remember her name, and if you do remember her name, Felicia, please don't say it. But there was, and God bless her, there was this young girl who worked with us. She was on the cash register. She calls me over. Mind you, I'm busy. We have a line of people. I'm helping get orders out the drive-through.
Right.
She calls me over to help with the register. I'm thinking something happened, whatever. No, she had to make basic change. No idea how to do it.
Yeah.
I looked at her and I started laughing. I was like, "I'm sorry, it's funny, but I got to get back. I can't just stop." And she goes, "No, I'm serious. I don't know how to do this." It was like 47 cents or something like that. And I'm like, "Huh?" She goes, "Well, it's on the I have it on my calculator, but it doesn't show." I was like, two things. One, why do you have a calculator? The register tells you how much to give, and you just pick the coins up. So I actually had, and I'm not even joking, Felicia will tell you this. I actually wrote how much each denomination was for each coin on the register so she would know. Schools, hello, what are you fucking teaching? That's basic. You teach stuff that we're never going to use in the world. But the stuff that we do need, taxes, which that's hilarious to watch kids. I'm not teaching my daughter taxes. I want her to find out on her own. That's going to be hilarious. But and I'm not talking about doing your taxes because obviously that's complicated. But taxes that get taken out from your paychecks. I'm not telling her about that.
Mm-hmm.
But currencies, everything's cryptocurrencies. Everything's how to use a debit card. What about the actual physical money? Teach that. I will neither confirm nor deny that, babe. But and don't get me wrong, that girl was sweet. She was a sweet girl. She was absolutely she was a sweetheart. But
yeah, I mean, basic cooking, basic car maintenance.
Oh my God.
Any of that. I mean, one thing that you're in trouble when somebody you go to a drive-through, you give your order, they say, "All right, it's like $19.05," and you hand them $20.05, and that look of panic on their face. And no matter how many times you say, "Look, all you got to do is just give me $1 back," well, I have to get this okay with the manager because the total is $19.05. I mean, I can give you 95 cents. No, take that nickel, put that in there with the 20, give me $1 back. Well, I have to get the manager. Oh my gosh! You just want to reach through that drive-through window, pull them out, and just.
I'll tell you what, and this is for anybody listening, and this is completely legal to do, but it's just hilarious. No shit. Okay. But here's something that is perfectly legal to do, and it is a fucking blast. When you go through the drive-thru next time, ask for a diet salad, or no, a low fat salad with diet water and non-carbonated ice, and watch the fun begin. I shit you not, brother. I have watched managers, employees freaking out, going, no. And you see the one smartass standing in the back, laughing his ass off. It's like, ask him. He gets it. He understands.
Yeah. I actually did something like that with a buddy of mine with his car. Actually, two things. His nickname was Rock. He said he got the nickname because he was rock steady, kind of bebop kind of guy. We called him Rock because he was smarter to rock.
That's an insult to rocks.
So the first thing we did to him is, buddy of mine put a ping pong ball down the gas chute of his car. This is back when the gas chute used to be a little bit bigger and you could do this kind of stuff. Threw the ping pong ball down the gas tube, and he would start the car and drive for like 20 seconds before the ball gets stuck down against the gas pump and shut off the gas and killed the engine.
That's a mean joke.
Oh, yeah. He took it to several places, and he got quotes everywhere from like, I think at that time it was anywhere from like $150 to $600. And my buddy was like, tell you what, $300, give me about 45 minutes, I'll have it ready. So Rock goes to work. Ronnie got his car in his garage, dropped the gas tank, dumped the gas out, takes out the ping pong ball, put the can back in, and filled it back up. And made $300 in 45 minutes. Now, the other thing we did to this poor guy was, there was something else that was wrong with his car, and there was like 15 of us, and we all gave him some bullshit thing for his car. All season air for the tires, blinker fluid, piston return spring, muffler valve. And he went to several places. Most of them knew this was a joke and played along with it instead of ringing up an obnoxious bill.
Oh, God
before
bless him.
One shop finally said, look, dude, your friends are totally screwing with you. And he comes back so mad.
I remember sending my ex-wife into AutoZone for blinker fluid. The washer fluid light came on in my car, and I told her it was blinker fluid, so she went into AutoZone to get it. I told her I couldn't turn the car off, otherwise the car would stall out.
Yeah.
No, that was not fun, by the way. So, backstory with this one. So, when I worked at this...
Hold on, because this is going to be uploaded to Spotify. The comment says, putting ketchup on the ceiling at restaurants you work at is funny.
No, it is not. So, just so you know, when I was training for my assistant general manager job, I had to go to another store to train. I was not able to train in store, the one I was going to be assigned to. So I would pop in periodically just to meet, my new crew that I was going to be, helping and run, and just kind of meet them and everything else. And they seemed like a great crew. Felicia was one of them. That's where her and I met. My first fucking day, not week, day of working at this store. I walk in, I'm looking around, I'm doing my usual inspection to see what needed to be done for the day. I stand behind the register, and I was just so happened to look straight up. I didn't see dust. I saw fucking ketchup. And I just stood there for a second in complete disbelief. I'm like, the fuck did that come from? How? How did that come? And so I went to the general manager and I said, boss, do you know anything about this? And she goes, I never even noticed that. And I was like, how long you don't know how long it's been up there? She's like, no, but we should probably get that down. And I'm like, son of a first day, and this is how this is starting. This is going to be great. Meanwhile, certain individuals, I'm not going to mention any names, but my girlfriend knows, giggling like little bitches. Come to find out, her and a couple others decided to have a ketchup war the day or two before I came in.
Yep.
And she's like, "Oh, you were so mad at me." I was like, "I wasn't mad. That's funny to have ketchup all over the place, But I was more pissed that I had to clean it up the first day.
Yeah.
First day I got in there, and nobody seemed to know how it happened.
Well, that's like when my friend Ronnie and I, we both used to work at Pizza Hut back in the 90s. And at the end of the day, we would take all the dough that wasn't used and we would just throw it out. Well, one night we decided to play dough ball, which is basically where I grabbed the wooden paddle that you serve the pieces on, and he would throw them at me like a baseball. The trick was to hit it hard enough to get it to bounce back and hit the wall, but
Which
not
is hard
so
to
hard
do.
which not so hard to get it to stick to the paddle.
Yeah. We did that
we
at
also had-
Domino's.
Oh yeah, we had this one cute girl that was working there, and we were all good friends. We whole pranked on each other all the time. And Ronnie had the shop vac outside the walk-in, and it was on. He was making it look like he was cleaning out some of the moisture in the walk-in.
Yeah.
But what he really did was he had the hose run up behind one of the wall units or the ice machine, and had the pipe stick out just above eye view with a balloon attached to the end of it on reverse. So she had no idea this balloon was about the size of her head before that thing flew. And boom, she screamed, and you hear a bunch of stuff hit the floor. I don't know what she was carrying, but she was pissed.
That sounds like my buddies over at Domino's. We used to play kind of like a dodgeball. It was not. It was not funny. I love you, babe, but it was not funny. So yeah, it's there. The ketchup incident was the night before. Yeah, great welcome to the family. But let's fuck with our new AGM. But but at Domino's, we used to take these dough balls and we would just huck them at each other. And we wouldn't take the full size patties. We would just take bits and pieces of them, like stuff we would cut off and we wouldn't use. And some of the guys didn't believe that I could throw 80 plus miles an hour. They learned pretty freaking quick.
Yep.
They looked like they got paintballed. There was so many black and blue marks. I remember this one day. We were playing with some of these other one of my other drivers, and I just whipped it straight at him. Just as my old GM was coming out of the office, he said all he heard was sounded like a bee fly by, just and he looks and he sees his dough ball splat against the wall. He's looking back at me. I'm like, duck.
Yeah. Well, I used to work with the guy at a Burger King.
Ding, presser done. Ding, presser done. Sorry.
He told me about this one time that he was working, and he had some lady come in complain about the Whopper that she got, and she was miserable. She was unpleasant. She was always just cussing him out and all this. And finally, while he's remaking her Whopper from scratch, starting over completely, he's remaking it. She's like, "Can you make it snappy, please?" He just done wrapped it up and hurled that thing as hard as he could out the little opening that aimed out at the dining room.
Sounds like me.
Yeah, and hits her.
Well, yeah, fast food. So
well, yeah.
Well, it's like I had a guy at this place, and I'm not saying it because I don't know who might be watching, because I know a couple people do watch. This guy literally, and I don't know if Felicia was there for this or not, but
right, hold on before you say anything.
Yeah,
that weird show is not responsible or affiliated with whatever he is about, whatever incriminating story he is about to tell. All right, go ahead.
But it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But I let's just say, not just in the paranormal community, but even in career based, I love the Karens because I make them feel that small.
Oh,
I make them feel that fucking small every time. But I do it in a professional way to where I don't get my ass in trouble.
Right.
This one guy was bitching for guacamole. Now, I'm not going to say what place that we were working, but I will say Pigtails. That should give it away. They don't have guacamole. They haven't had guacamole in over 10 years. He was bitching. He wanted guacamole. So he was giving my driver a very hard time, or not my driver, but my drive-through person a very hard time about this. I had a headset on. I heard exactly what was going on. He was still giving her crap even at the window because our times were going shit, and I just so happened to peek out, and he was sitting there just cussing at her and being all upset. I go to the back, and I said, "Look, sir, I do apologize. We do not have guacamole. We do not have avocados. We don't have anything like that. We don't have it." And he goes, "Well, yes, you fucking do." I said, "Sir, I'm the assistant general manager. I know my fucking menu better than you do." I said, "If you know it better than me, get your ass in here and get to work." I
Right.
was like, "I know it better than you, so go the fuck away." And he goes, "Well, I still want my food." Well, too fucking bad. Bye. And I shut
Yep.
the door in his face. And everyone just, I turned around and like half the crew was like, I was like, "Yeah, Matty don't play around. That's Manager Matt. You don't want Manager Matt. Manager Matt's a very bad guy."
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the weird thing about the restaurant or fast food industry today. The stuff we used to be able to get away with back even as recently as 2015 or 2020 was you couldn't do any of that today. And I know this because I've had some confrontations where I've had people like, dude, shut up, go in the back. They'll drag me out, especially my wife. My wife had to stop me from laying out some guy in the entryway at Arby's one day.
I almost did a couple of times at a couple
Yeah.
of places. Actually, in
And,
almost every place.
well, the idea that the manager is always right is the customer is always right is bogus.
I'm sorry, but whoever came up with that saying has never worked in retail a day in
Right.
their fucking life. I'm
Right.
sorry, folks, if this steps on any toes. I hate that saying. The customer is not always right. There are certain things that different people working retail can do and they can't do. They know their job description a lot better than you do. If they
Right.
say they can't do something, okay, it's fine. Grow the
Yeah.
fuck up. It's not that big a deal. Here's the thing. Like, it pisses me off with people that DoorDash stuff. Like, I get some people have to. I get it. But if you have the capability to actually walk your fat ass into a store to get your own food, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's called laziness.
Mhm.
You know, people want things just given to them. Folks, it
Yeah.
takes fucking hard work. It takes dedication. And you know what? If your fat ass can't get off of your fucking couch to go get yourself or your kids something to eat, you've got no room to bitch. I'm sorry.
Right.
If you're having a
Well,
bad fucking day, cook.
here's the thing, and this I actually this little segment I kind of dedicate to my wife, only because she's been going through something recently with her job. But every time in the restaurant business, this is one of the common things that I struggle with because I've gone through it myself. I've seen it. Church crowds in restaurants after service.
Mm.
You get these people. They go to church. And again, I myself am a Christian. I've confessed Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I am not perfect. I still struggle with some things. But the one thing I never really understood was how is it that people can go to church, get filled with the Word, have, in some cases, some people just have a profound experience in the presence of God or the presence of the church that they're in. And then they go to church and they berate and belittle and demean the servers and the cook. You show up, you've got 15, 20 people, and you're going to sit there and complain about how things are taking so long. There's 15 of you. This stuff takes time.
It's funny. There's one word that the church preaches that Jesus himself preached that a lot of people fucking miss, and it's called humility.
Mm-hmm.
Have a little. Here's the thing. When the Wicked Queen and I go out, and Felicia will attest to this, she's seen this a couple times. When we go out to a place, we have respect for our servers. There are a couple servers where they need to get their attitudes adjusted, but we try to be pleasant because you don't know what they're going through. Right. But when we leave, we pile up the dishes and everything that needs to be taken back in a very nice manner. We clean up after ourselves. If next to walking that stuff back, because we would if we could, but we don't. We obviously can't. We can't walk out to the dish area, but we make it convenient for them, and we try to be understanding and polite. Some people just are nasty people. That's whatever. You don't want to work, then you shouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like, if you work with I'll just say this: if you work with the general public, understand you have to have a certain mentality. It is not for everybody. I'm
Right.
sorry. It's just the way it is. But on the flip side of that, don't be a reason for these individuals to act like that. Some people who work in the food industry or retail or with the public, they might be having a bad day.
Right.
Sometimes what they need is that good person. They need that. They need that someone to be happy. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I actually took a step away from the paranormal, from the podcasting and stuff like that, because Felicia will attest to this, the Wicked Queen will attest to this. I was in such a miserable fucking place, and it's not because of the paranormal, it's because of me. I was in such a depressive state to where I'm not going to sit here and BS you guys. And brother, you know me, I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I took
Hmm.
all of that and said, fuck it. I was about ready to unalive myself. I was that bad, and it's because of my job. It was because of the job I was in. It was because of the environment I was in, and it's because of people like that who just kept picking and picking and picking and picking, and it put me in such a negative place that I didn't want to be. And you would expect your team, the people that you work with, to have your back. And some of them might even be watching, and I don't really fucking care. I'll call you out. Some of them are supposed to be there to have your back, to have your support and be there for you, and they dropped the fucking ball.
Yeah.
No matter what was going on, they saw the red flags and they ignored them, and there wasn't a
Yeah.
damn thing I could do. So I shut down, and I got into a very nasty place. People, that happens every single fucking day. When you go to a restaurant, when you go to a Walmart, when you go to any retail chain, anywhere that has individuals that work with the public, be the reason that they are still going to be there that next day.
Right.
And I'm not saying, give them a big, just run up to random individuals and give them a fucking hug. No. That might be a little creepy and illegal. But make them smile. Say thank you. If you see somebody stocking the shelves, hey, make a quick joke with them.
I totally agree because generally you can tell when some people just can't be bothered to do their job.
Exactly.
There's a certain kind of air about them that you just pick up. This little jerk is an entitled twit.
Yeah.
But there have been some times where I've seen some people just like I know that some people have some their opinions about Subway, but I still like Subway. And every
I
once
do.
in a while, I go to Subways and I'll see somebody, and especially a person who's just learning the menu and they're struggling and they're constantly apologizing. I
Yes.
say, dude, stop. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
You're learning. I know what you're going through. I've been there.
Yeah.
You're doing fine. You're good.
It's funny you say that because we have a Subway here in town, and it's a tiny little thing, and
Hmm.
there was a kid just like that. She was learning the menu. She was really slow about it, taking her time, and she's like, "I'm so sorry, it's taking so long." I was like, "You're good." I was like, "As long as my food's correct, I'm happy." I was like, "I'm a
Yeah.
fat kid. I want my food. I don't just want it. I just want it. I'm just happy." I was like, "You're just teasing me at that point, you just slowly do stuff, and it's a tease." I was like, "That's what you're doing to me right now." I was like, "I'm good," and
Right.
she was giggling a little bit. I went back in a month later. She made a manager. She became a supervisor. And I told her,
Right.
I said, I remember when you sat there and you were struggling learning the menu. Now that you're a supervisor, good on you. Good
Right.
on you. I was like, I'm proud of you. Now, enough teasing. Now make my food. Come on.
Yeah.
But
But
that's the
it,
thing. Like you're absolutely right. You can see that individual. You can see those people who just don't want to be there. But you can also
right.
see the people who are actually giving a shit and trying. And that's what I'm saying. Find that individual and be nice to them.
Mhm.
Have fun with them. Hell, I've even stocked a couple of things over at Walmart for the kids. You see them just looking around, and I'm just like, oh, it's right here. You take it out of their hand and put it up there. There you go,
Yep.
and walk away.
Yeah. Well, it just with the way everything is, and I know a lot of people are still feeling pretty raw and hostile over the election. Um, and this is something that I'm going to be talking about on my other podcast, From the Wild. And this is actually dealing with the biblical concept of who is my neighbor.
Mm.
Because that's something I'm still trying to work out myself. Because I'm not gonna lie, I have had some pretty brutal, no scope headshot attitude towards certain things and people. I'm the guy who will, you cross me once, I will metaphorically slit the jugular and keep on walking and not even look back.
Yep.
And I need to change that. And so, with the way everything is, I'm struggling with this whole concept to realize that I may not agree with everybody.
Yep.
Which I understand that part. And everybody's not going to agree with me. But when did it become okay to hate somebody because of that? When did it? I mean, and I'm the one thing that I'm specifically pointing my finger at, and I know YouTube can pull me down, Whoopi can come after me all she wants, Behar, which The View, I don't understand how 3 women with the happiest name can be the most miserable, sorry sack you will ever hear.
I got to interject here. What I find fucking hilarious, and don't get me wrong, Sister Act is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, she's a phenomenal actress. No argument.
I fucking love Sister Act. I grew up with Sister Act, and it has a lot of nostalgia for me.
Mm-hmm.
But she sits there and fucking says that she feels the strain that we all are going through, that the American public is going through. Bitch, no, you have not. You have not worked a 9 to 5 in this day and era and have done the struggles that if you're number one, you're on TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, I don't remember you ever saying you worked at a Walmart, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, an Arby's, a fast food place. You've never done that. Your parents may have struggled, but you made it. When you're
Right.
worth millions and millions of dollars, I'm sorry, you do not know what we are going through. And I'm saying we as in like 99% of us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, wherever this is going, you have not dealt with that. Not even a
Right.
paycheck to paycheck, a paycheck to next fucking day.
I will say this. She might have before she started, made it big with her stand-up comedy. Because I remember that's where she got her start.
But
She might have
you're
in the
talking,
beginning, but
yeah,
she's
in
forgotten what it's like.
the 80s.
Yeah.
The 80s and 90s were a different time back then.
Yeah.
A
And she,
$40,000 a year job was you made it. You're retiring. You're happy. You're living very comfortable. I'm sorry, $40,000 a year job now, you're barely fucking making it.
no, 40,000, even at $50,000 a year, you're still below what's considered as the poverty line.
But that's just that. That's what I'm saying. Like these people that say that they know where we're coming from and how we feel. No, you fucking don't.
Right.
And even with the politicians and stuff, whether you're Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't believe me, switch out with some of us. Switch out with some of us who make 50,000 or less, and then see, or even better, put your salary at $40,000 a year, and let's see how quickly shit changes.
Oh, yeah. Well, the last couple of days, I've been looking at some of my older podcasts from when I had Spectre Radio, and I found some from when I had the Plagueland Report, and that was when I first started out, heavily political.
I was gonna say that's been a while.
And I actually re-uploaded one of the videos on that weird show Rumble channel.
Mm-hmm.
That one was called Silent Racism. But one of the things that I've noticed is that those were done right after Biden took office. And when I look at those 4 years, and I think about everything that, and I am going to make the distinction here between conservatives and liberals.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a reality.
Yeah.
But when I look at the behavior of the liberals, especially over the last 20 years, but more specifically in the last 4 years, I have never seen people become so unhinged. I mean, you could be sitting there and having somebody sitting there, you miserable, mean, racist, bigoted, homophobe, Islamophobe, misogynistic, sexist, Bible thumping, gun toting, blah, blah, blah. You awful person. I am so devastated. I need my safe space. And you're over here like, all I said was no pickles on that burger, please.
Yep. The
People,
entitlement is just
yeah,
unreal anymore.
they're so unhinged. And one of the things that I was pointing out with Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar is when Trump won the election, her and everybody else on the view was like, you should separate yourself from your family that voted for Trump. Well, wait a minute. I thought you guys were all about unity, acceptance, tolerance.
Well, hell, look at 8 years ago. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go back even further. Whoopi and them even said if he got elected, they would move. They would move out of the country.
Yep.
So go.
Now, just a few months before that, they introduced him on the show as one of our dear friends.
No. I mean, to me, that's Hollywood bullshit. I mean,
Exactly.
it's just like, do you know what the real news is anymore? And it's really sad. The best news that you can find anymore is on ESPN, Sports Center. That is. It's sad to say, but that is 100% what it is.
Or if you find real, unbiased reporting outside the United States.
Yeah, BBC. If you want to know what's going on here in the U.S., watch the BBC.
Yeah, you may not like what they may say, they'll say about America.
Actually, it's kind of funny, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's kind of
You can't
funny.
argue with them. I love Rick Gervais. Oh gosh.
But here's the thing, though, and think back, folks. Back in the 80s, when Reagan and them got elected, when Bush got elected, first Bush, not Georgie, the first. I still miss W. I love W just because he was comedy. I mean, Biden is more pitiful. It's like, stop it,
Well,
enough. W was more like
W. The thing I like about W is Neil dodging bullets got nothing on W dodging shoes.
or pretzels.
Yeah.
I still can't believe you choked on a pretzel. It's like with the Secret Service. The fuck do we do?
Well,
Mr. President, put it down.
there's that, but also, I mean, Biden would know better. Who in the history of humanity has ever fallen up the damn steps?
Yeah, on live TV. But you go back to before W. Republican, Democrat, it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The president was a person that everybody respected.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. The president was all about. I got to tell you about pretzels, by the way. I know what she's talking about, but she said, "Leave my fucking pretzels out of this."
Yeah.
I'll let you know. But before W, even Clinton was. I think Clinton was the start of it, but it didn't matter whether you were a Democrat, you were a Republican. The president was about the people.
Right.
And the people respected it. Didn't matter the outcome of the election. It was, okay, this person won. Cool. We're good.
Yeah.
After W, that's when things started getting shaky. And I'm not blaming Obama. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying you want to see a political change. That's when that shit started happening. That was the divide between the Republicans. Folks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the president is. He has his bosses he has to check in with. He can't. He's not all powerful. So
Right.
to sit here and say that Trump is going to kill the American public, no, he's not. He's not going to do it. Biden, I'm not a Biden fan myself. He's just I think, if anything, the Democratic Party should be nominated as the best ventriloquist ever because he's the biggest dummy out there. But like they give Jeff Dunham a run for his money. But it doesn't matter to me, and I'm military. I was in the Navy. It doesn't matter who my commander in chief is. If they call me and they say that I'm needed, I'm going.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if, as much as I don't like Joe Biden, if he were to come to my hometown, I would stand at attention and offer a salute because that is my responsibility as not just a member of, the military, but as an American.
A citizen, yeah.
That's what we're about. We're supposed to be about our country, one another. It doesn't matter who holds the office. The title is still the same.
Right.
Ponus is still Ponus. Fucking let him. It's been a while. We're gonna have some John Wick shit going down.
Yeah.
But no, and it just it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible and it's disgusting. And it's not even like you can't even get upset with it anymore. It's just kind of like, all right, whatever. Just you're gonna do whatever the fuck you're gonna do.
Right. Well,
Although I will say Trump's cabinet is kind of entertaining. I will give that. You get Elon Musk involved.
I mean, the whole Elon Musk and X and Truth Social. I mean,
I still
like
say
I said,
we were talking about it on Raymond's show the other day. Tanner for president. Tanner
well,
needs
I mean,
Tanner for president. I call dibs on Secretary of Defense.
okay, no offense to Tanner, okay? No offense to Tanner, but I don't think we need a president who's going to bust out the CSI kit and then read a story to the criminal to get the answer.
I think that'd be hilarious.
Um,
And plus, if with me as Secretary of Defense, it's like, I'm sorry, you said what about us?
yeah, yep.
That would be me.
But, when it comes to, you mentioned the military. We talked about the drones earlier and the possible implications of them being, of the Chinese military or the Russian military.
I doubt it, but yeah.
One of the things that always bothered me, and why you're not really seeing this being talked about a lot, is how much money we've sent to Ukraine with this war against Russia. Now, I am not pro-Putin, but I sure as hell ain't pro-Zelensky either.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Zelensky looks like they just said, okay, you're it.
Well, okay, so I actually did a deep dive on this a while back, and I was just kind of blown away as to how this all came about. Okay, so right after World War II, we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Mm-hmm.
We formed NATO, which I believe is the Nuclear Armed Treaty Organization.
Yep.
Now, this basically had all the nation at that time that was capable of or on the verge of achieving nuclear status.
Yep.
Russia was a part of NATO.
Yep.
Many people forget that. Russia used to be a part of NATO.
Yep.
Now, when Russia finally stepped out of NATO, we had the whole Cold War thing, and everybody was afraid of the bomb. I mean, I still remember doing bomb drills in school.
Same.
And after that, when Russia finally said, okay, it's 1988, Reagan president, Gorbachev is the leader of Russia. He said, I will give East Germany back to West. The agreement was, and this is something that a lot of people either forget or were never taught, the agreement is that the two Germany would reunite on the promise or the understanding that NATO would not expand its territory toward Russian interests. Since that time, 42 nations have been added, most of them getting closer and closer to Russia. Now, let's fast forward a little bit to 2014, I believe. At this time, this is when Obama was president and Biden was vice president. I can't remember the president's name, but Ukraine had a legal election, and the guy they picked was pro-Russia. Or at least he kind of leaned towards Russia a little bit. He wasn't really crazy about America.
Yeah.
Now, this is where things get really ugly. The Azov Brigade initiates a series of actions that would result in a lot of death and would be known as the Maidan Uprising. the Azov Brigade is a known neo-Nazi group. It's in their charter. They are a known neo-Nazi group. Guess who backed them?
Oh, gee.
Obama. Obama backed them up. Gave them the money, gave them the training. I don't think we actually gave them the weaponry, but we just gave them certain logistical support.
You know, it's always been funny to me that when it comes to other countries, one party stands out. I'm not going to mention it, but one party heavily supports other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah.
Always supports other countries. But when the American people need help, oh, we don't have it. But meanwhile, billions of dollars go somewhere else. It's like, you know, that's one thing I will say I do like about the other party is they are a little more focused on here at home.
Mm-hmm.
Prices are typically, if you go back and look, prices for everything, the economy, everything is typically a little bit better. Yeah, there's some inflation, but that's to be expected.
Right.
But we're better off.
Mm-hmm.
When the other party's over,
yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. So in 2014, after the Maidan uprising, there was a trilateral, supposed to be a trilateral meeting between Russia, America, and Ukraine, I believe. Or it's either Russia, Ukraine, and a third country. I can't remember which one. But since then, Russia was the only one that would show up to that meeting. The other two nations didn't.
Odd.
Ukraine would later become the most corrupt country in that area, which is saying something considering how we all know that there are certain elements within the Russian elite that have deep fingers and deep pockets in the government. For a small country like Ukraine to beat them, okay, come on. That's got to make you think. So anyway, Ukraine has also been sending out artillery shells into the Donbass region, which is a heavily Russia-speaking part of that area, for, I think, like 10, 15 years. Never said a word about it. They just, it just happened. But when Ukraine finally said, okay, we want to be a part of NATO, Russia was like, that's it. We're done playing this game.
I'm neither for nor against either.
Right,
I'm a common sensist. But what I know is just like what you kind of said. Ukraine was kind of testing the waters. They were fucking around, and now they're finding out. At the same time, I don't believe that the people who are being attacked are the ones that should be, if that makes sense. What I mean is, a lot of this, again, goes back to political power.
Yep.
My thing is, leave the armies, leave the Marines, leave the military out of it. Send the political parties out. Send the political leaders. Put them in a UFC ring. Let them beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they always say they don't want civilians hurt. They don't want this hurt. They don't want that hurt. Speaking from a military perspective, yeah, we're military, but we still have civilian families. We still, like right now, I'm considered a civilian. I consider myself military, but I'm still a civilian. I'm a veteran, but still a civilian. And you take off a uniform, what is that individual? A civilian. People will always get hurt. I say, fuck it. Put all the world leaders in a battle royale. If somebody has an issue with another country, 8 sides, put them in a ring. Let them have at it. Winner take all.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That'll bring a lot of people back into politics. And that would generate a lot of revenue. Just don't put it on Netflix because we saw what happened with Mike Tyson. with that whole.
I so wish the fight between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg would have gone through. I would pay the pay-per-view price to watch that fight.
But that's easily. What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not a fan of. I have a lot of respect for Elon Musk from the perspective that he's a self-made man. He started with just a little garage, and like Jeff Bezos, just started in the garage and just grew from there. He never gave up. I can respect that hustle.
Yep.
I'm not a fan at how he's treating X now, and how he kind of things have gotten to his head a little bit. But I just
No, I'm right there with you. But I mean, I think, could you imagine how much would change if world leaders would actually go with that? Send a representative from each one of the countries. Like, I would love to see Putin and Zelensky just 8 rounds in an octagon. Let's go.
and I know a lot of people probably think Zelensky would win just because Zelensky had the physical edge. He's a little more bigger. He's a little more physically shaped. But here's the thing: you got to remember, before Putin was the president, he was KGB. And these guys, when they're trained in hand-to-hand combat, you do not want to mess with them. KGB and Mossad, in my opinion, are the two deadliest special forces to have on the ground. American
100%.
special forces, they are excellent in their own way. But realistically, I kind of feel a little bit that because Russia has been at it longer, and especially the Israeli Mossad, they've been at it for centuries. I feel like when it came down to just bare hand-to-hand combat, if you had two of them of the same build, same training, same level of skill, America probably would not hold up against the Mossad or KGB.
And I think, to be honest, NATO would be better off. Like, we've all seen that auditorium where all the representatives stand.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, get rid of the fucking stage, put in a ring.
Yeah.
Seriously, put in a ring. So two
Mm-hmm.
countries have an issue with each other. Go at it.
And that's how it used to be. They used to have their champion meet in the middle, and whichever champion won, the winning side took over the country.
Oh no, I'm saying actual representatives, the old fuckers.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
I just don't see a couple of old. I don't see a couple of old bastards just beating the shit out of each other.
Well, okay, so here's my concern with all that. What happens if you got someone like Nancy Pelosi going up against Maxine Waters?
No, and see, two things. Number one, I'd definitely fucking watch because it'd be hilarious. And two, gender doesn't matter.
I know I don't care about gender either. But I mean, here's how I picture it. I think Nancy would probably most likely be drunk. So she's going to have the drunk wobble throughout the whole ring. And Maxine Waters, she just doesn't really move that well to begin with. She's got a hell of a mouth.
She just sit there and yell, and Pelosi just be like, "Hangover, stop it."
Yep.
But
question is, who's going to run out of gas first?
I think they both forget where the hell they were and just walk.
I wouldn't categorize them in the same place as Biden.
But and I'm not saying like for them to off each other. I'm not. I'm just saying just beat each other senseless, like UFC, MMA type stuff, like the same rules, submission, all that.
Right.
All
Absolutely.
of it.
You say you know the struggle. Okay. This is how the struggle gets dealt with on the street. Let's see how you do.
Put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Give them a $40,000 a year salary. If there's an issue, put them in a ring.
Now, speaking of that $40,000 thing, I have to say this because I did see something. I've seen quite a few of these actually. You get these Gen Zers that are mad about how the people who voted for Trump, like, oh, so you're complaining about the economy, you're complaining about the money. How about you get a better job? I'm sorry, not all of us get to have a high-paying job because we ascribe to some minority instead of skill. But the problem was never about the minimum wage; it's about the cost of living. Minimum wage goes up, so does the cost of living. The biggest money-making industry in America is debt.
And I have to jump in because I've been hearing this, and I don't know if Felicia's still watching. I know the Wiki Queen probably isn't, but
she's probably spoken in a corner about her pretzels.
Wiki Queen is doing whatever the Wiki Queen does. She doesn't watch this shit. I love her, but she doesn't watch this shit. But I have personal experience from this. Let me tell you about the whole getting a better job type deal. I have over 200, 2 with 2 zeros, certifications from the U.S. Navy saying I know electrical. I have enough for basically an associate's in electrical engineering. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You would think I would be an electrician, right? I cannot get an electrical job to save my fucking life. Do you know why? I'm either well overqualified for that position or they won't
Y-
hire me because I don't have a piece of paper from a state university saying I know my stuff.
Well, either
Or
that
I'm not
or
a part of an electrical union because I don't know somebody.
not even that. If anybody watches the follows on the news, and you are actually smart enough to read one that doesn't have a hand in either side, businesses all across America are experiencing a major shift. So much so that a lot of them are dropping the whole DEI and inclusion movement
Mhm.
because they're starting to realize that you have to hire people who are qualified and able to do the position, which is the problem I have with those stupid little TikTok videos of these people who, are saying, get a better job. Well, you can't because a lot of people who are qualified, and there's a reason behind this, and I'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. Um, a lot of people don't fit a certain narrative or a certain image that they're trying to go for.
Yep.
So that put all the skill out the window and brings in a lot of bad ideas.
Well,
I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care who you're sleeping with, what you believe in. My question is, can you do the job?
well, that should be the question. Can you do the fucking job?
And that, unfortunately, that's not. Now, one of the issues that I've come across, and this is kind of connected to the silent racism on my Rumble channel, is when it comes to the education system. I started off by saying I couldn't get behind BLM.
Mhm.
When it first started out, I was actually in full support of it. Even with the whole George Floyd incident.
Can I interject here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not to interrupt you, brother, but I just want to say for the record, I hear me out, hear me to the end because I know there's going to be probably some people that get pissed. I
That's why I have a
am
Rumble channel. Don't care.
I am not. I am not for BLM. I am for ELM. Every live matters.
Right.
Everybody's. I don't care whether you're black, blue, purple, green, yellow, whatever, metropolitan, multicolored. I don't give a fuck. Every lives, and I've said this since the Black Lives Matter came out. I don't care. When there's an All Lives Matter rally, I will be the first motherfucker there.
Right.
I'm sorry. When you start isolating and separating that, like even the BLM, you're already a racist to me because you're saying that the black lives matter more than the white lives, or that you or any other race. No, that's Alex, just a little dino arms. Inside joke. So we know a guy who when he runs, he does these little dino arms. So he's a little T Rex. He rars. Speaking of rar, here's Raymond.
Mm-hmm. Raymond Newsom of Newton Paranormal. We were just talking about you earlier. If you want to find out what kind of smack Matt was saying about you, you have to go back and watch the beginning once I upload it to Rumble.
But you have to share it out first. It's hidden. You have to share it out, like it, subscribe to it. Then you'll really hear all the inside stuff. Be a part of the Patreon.
No,
but
yeah, I'm the same way when when it first came out, it made sense because even in Minnesota, which has been known to be one of the most top 5 gay friendly states in the U.S. and also have we have a thing called Minnesota Nice. You look at our cities and the mixed culture, the mixed artwork and the music, all like you would think that Minnesota would be an ideal place, but even Minnesota, we've got some really bad apples. We have racism, we have sexism, we have homophobia. We're no different than any other country or any other state. So when BLM came out and George Floyd murder happened, and even when they got a hold of the police station and burned it to the ground, that whole process up to that point made sense. It wasn't until they turned on the city itself, started rioting and looting businesses, which most of were owned and operated by the African Americans in that community. It was then that I lost all respect for Black Lives Matter because when I did my deep dive on this, I learned this is what really upsetting. If Black Lives was so important to BLM, why is nothing still being done with the Biden-Thurman Violent Crimes Act, which has
Thank you.
put more black men into prison for the same crimes as white?
Thank you. Well, what
Uh,
bothers me
There's
too.
that.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, brother.
If that was so important to them, why is nothing being done to help improve the property value of some of these low-income neighborhoods? And this is the one that really, and my last point, this is the one that really set off thing for me. When the federal government make budget cut to the public school system, the first schools that get hit and hit the hardest are the low-income neighborhood, which are predominantly African American neighborhood. So these kids are being screwed out of the tools and resources to make the improvement for their lives that every one of us would get, but they're not getting it because nobody's doing anything to support them. Nobody's doing anything to help these kids learn how to, for lack of a better way, get out of the hood.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I get where you grow up and your environment has a lot to play. Yes,
Mhm.
I do 100% agree. But that is to me not fact. And the reason why I'm saying this
right.
is let's look at somebody who has made it, very well for themselves. And mind you, it has
True.
gone a couple of different ways for this individual, but he's still done it. And that's Eminem. Look at what he
True.
came from. He came from an area just like that. Low income, poverty, gangs, dangerous environment.
Mhm.
And he made it. Other people
Right.
have made it. What
Right.
pisses me off about these whole situations is yes, they are trying to make it for a good cause, and I commend them for that. The way they go about it though is bullshit to me.
Right.
You can't sit here and say you want to save these kids and save the community while burning it down. That's like going to war and shooting all of the people that you're going to war with and hoping that it works out for you. No, you're basically trying to build a house from the roof down. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. Stop putting money where it doesn't belong in these foundations, in these groups and stuff like that. Put them back to the community. Like
Mhm.
prime example, and I just saw a TikTok about this. The hurricanes that went through in the Carolinas.
Oh
The
yeah.
government refused to help them. But guess who did? Amish.
The Amish people, neighboring state.
Yeah.
And what was messed up about that is two things. This is something that I was shocked to think or to find that this was actually happening, and people just still didn't really care. Number one, when FEMA finally did start to respond, the head
Mhm.
of FEMA at the time, she was telling people, if you see a Trump support, anything that shows support for Trump, ignore that home.
Yep.
And then the other one is when you have people who are coming in with their own boat trying to rescue people and they're being told to stop and turn around. Excuse me?
Oh, well, apparently, there was, I forget how many homes, but there was where those mini homes, the
Mhm.
micro homes. This one Amish community from Pennsylvania, from my area. I want to say it was. I don't know if it was Lancaster, but I know they were from PA. They went down and built. I think it was over $300,000 worth of mini homes
Mhm.
for these families so they could live.
Right.
They were told to stop by our government.
Mhm.
And they said no. And they
Yeah.
kept doing what they were doing. To me, I mean, shit's getting real when the Amish come out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even with the election, when they
Did you
start
see did
coming
you see
out,
did you see Rob Schneider bit about the Amish voting?
not Rob Schneider, I didn't see his.
Oh my gosh. I'll have to send you the link for that. It is hysterical.
Okay. But I do know I did see somebody say something about the Amish. They're like, shit hit the fan when the Amish come out and start voting. And
Yeah,
you know what? That they're absolutely right. Because joke about them all you want, but the Amish and the Mennonite communities are amazing individuals. They are some of the friendliest people you will ever meet in your life.
for sure.
I know that firsthand. I live in Amish in an Amish area.
Right.
There's a Mennonite church up the hill from me. They are beautiful people. They are friendly people, but they don't want anything to do with what we got going on. To hear about them coming out to vote, that made me go,
Mm-hmm.
ooh. So I was joking with the Wicked Queen. I said, "So it looks like we're moving to Canada. Let's see if they have an apartment next to Mister." Actually, we were joking. I said I was going to get an apartment next to Brian, and we're going to cut a little doggy door hole for Max, so he can just come back and forth.
So yeah, I mean, if there's just stupid little things like that shouldn't be happening, but unfortunately they are.
Well, it comes down to
And
common sense. It's all
well,
common sense.
I'm slowly learning some things now that I've come this far in my life.
Hmm.
Never trust a person lecture on unity when they find ways to divide people even more.
Yeah.
Never trust a science that confirms its answers based on the size of a paycheck.
Well, and that's what it comes down to is any more that people who make the decisions on what we have going on, whether it's politics or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
it's whose pockets get filled faster. Shut the fuck up, Raymond. I love you, brother. I was
So
supposed
Raymond was saying, Matt, you're not lying when you said you were uh, going to going to be late to the show. It was 24 hours. Yeah.
shut the fuck up, Raymond. I love you, brother. No, actually, Raymond, I just like yourself and many others like Mister and a lot of others. I love Raymond to death, and he actually turned me on to this new supplement, this vitamin. I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook. Um, I'm not even going to begin to pronounce it, but it honestly makes me feel so much better. And it's like you know me, brother. I've gone through a couple of antidepressants at this point, and I've gone through a couple of different things to help me feel better. But
Wouldn't be methylene or a Molly, would it?
I thought you were gonna say meth, and I was like, maybe, but no. No, it's
Ashwagandha.
that one.
Yep.
Bless you. But he turned me. He told me to try it, and minus a couple little side effects, it's not bad. Like I feel better. I feel like I can finally get a little more clarity and focus. Although it's a problem because now whenever I come down to get on the computer and I get distracted by Pal World, as you've probably seen on the Steam, I'm on it for hours.
Yeah, I have that issue with Planet Crafter. I'm just about to the point of having my extraction ship available. I've
we
got
need
all
to.
the warden keys. I've
We
got
need to.
everything.
We
Yeah.
need to. We need to start playing again.
Well, there is a game that I've been playing called Boomen.
Boomen?
Boomen, you play a team of thieves and you break into a house and you have a list of items that you need to steal. The problem is you got to steal it before the home loses power and the ghosts go on a hunt.
Boomen. Stay in the light.
Boo men.
Yeah, like boo
Yeah, stay in the
spooky
light. Yep.
men. Okay. Oh my god.
Yeah. Some crazy looking ghosts that come in there. And the thing is
Yeah.
if you're in the light, the ghost can't see you. which is why you want to get all the items. Now, here's the other thing: you can only have a certain number of lights on before you blow the fuse.
Well, just like in Faz, yeah,
A little bit, yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I'm gonna. I'll
it's
add
a
it to
fun
the.
game.
I'll add it to the wish list. I still want to play Supermarket together with you, Raymond, Wicked Queen. I think you. I think you'd enjoy it. Yeah, it's a game about a supermarket, but just some of the shit we can do is gonna be. It'd be hilarious. And I'll tell you what. I started playing that TCG card shop simulator,
Hmm.
and no, they better not make that multiplayer. I swear to God, they better not make that co-op. It's so fun, but
Well,
no.
if you like creepy paranormal games, I would also check out some of the other games like SCP Containment Breach.
Yes, I have that on my wish list as well.
Um, there was another one that I checked out, but it's an escape room game.
Okay.
And one of the monsters in this game is a giant worm with the head of the Momo on it.
Okay.
And this thing will come chase after you.
You know, Raymond and I were just talking about this, but can you imagine hearing on whatever game or whatever, just hear fuck, 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 fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you,
Oh,
or my classic, I have an idea. Oh shit, who's dead?
yeah. Well, I mean, when you and I played Faz, and we hear, I have an idea. It's usually followed by, I'll meet you at the truck, or nope. Because Matt would always do something that would just initiate the hunt. And then, half the time he's the one who starts it, but half the time he's not the one who died. It's usually one of us.
Hmm.
And it's mostly Raymond. Because Raymond had his own little bug up his ass and he liked to start trouble on his own.
Raymond, I found this little box. It makes a funny noise. Let's play with
Yeah.
it. No, or the fingers, the
Yeah.
the monkey paw he
Uh,
loved. The Ouija board. My
I
favorite.
hated a Ouija board. I mean, to me, that the Ouija board and the pentagram, no, no,
We had so much fun.
no. You had fun.
I still. We need to. I need to find that video that you made for the gaming. That was so fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah,
Oh shit! Oh shit!
yeah,
Oh shit! Oh shit! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
yeah.
Bitch.
And then oh yeah, the monster would come and kill you, and then all of a sudden you hear the cinematic boom, screen go black, and all of a sudden you hear this little voiceover, son of a bitch.
Me.
Yeah,
We need to get that back. And I was telling Raymond we need to do some gaming stuff and or even like react stuff and just record it. Just record
right.
it and just
I will say this: I'm so over games that have outright demonic elements in it. I'm just kind of burnt out on it. I'm over it.
so no
Now,
demonologist.
yeah. Um,
Thank God.
I have been looking at other games because I do like games that have that little bit of a fear element that makes you jump.
Yeah.
The pressure to find things or beat the clock kind of thing. So I do look for games like that. Um, oh gosh, there was one. I'm gonna have to go back through my Steam list and look at a bunch of them. But so yeah, gaming fun is just one way to forget about all the craziness out there. And
There's actually one, and it is free. But I was thinking about all of us, and Raymond, I know you're still in the room, and actually, little spoiler here: Felicia's actually a gamer too. Our girlfriend is a gamer. Um, but I was telling the Wicked Queen about this. It's called Once Human. I
I've seen those. Yeah,
It is free. I think that would be a great game for all of us to get involved with, and it is an online multiplayer.
right.
So with it being free, I think it'd be great. Or even if we had the money, Liar's Bar. I don't know if anybody's seen Liar's Bar, but Liar's
Can't say
Bar
that I
is
have.
it is so fucking funny. It's basically a bluffing game.
Mm.
You have cards and you have to bluff your way to win, and it's a card game mixed with Russian roulette. And if you lie
Okay, I think I know which one you're talking about.
with
If
it
you
with the animals,
with that, but don't they? Okay, I'm just going to say spoiler alert because I know there's a
mm,
lot of people out there that get a little testy about this. But is
yeah,
this the one where if you end up losing, they do some really messed up, violent act of death on you or something?
kind of, but not really. So you have a revolver. You have a
Mm.
revolver. Every player has a revolver, and if and let's just say it's a king's table is what it's called, and you say you have three kings, and the next person calls you a liar, and you really don't. You if you don't have it and you lied, you have to shoot yourself. If you
Right.
do have it and they call you a liar, they have to shoot themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
And the last person standing wins. Now there are some new updates to it too, like they have what's called a Mastercard, and yeah, it's like bullshit. The card game bullshit. If
Mm.
you ever heard bullshit,
Yep.
um, but they have a whole bunch of different updates. That I think it's just fucking hilarious, and I still think we should all. And I know I've been Raymond. I know you're still here, and I've been preaching this for a while. But I still think a prop hunt game would be hilarious because you and I had fun with that one prop hunt game that you and I played. If you remember, you and I were playing it, and um, we kept getting like these huge fucking props that were just so like inconspicuous.
Right.
I don't buy Lars Bar. I don't care. But yeah, Felicia, our girlfriend does like to hurt pretzels. She's a pretzel herder. So the whole thing with that is, I was on the phone with her the one night, and I guess she was taking a pretzel out of a microwave or whatever, and she hit her knee or something on an end table or whatever. And instead of saying "ow my knee," she said "ow my pretzel." So now I'm picking on her for that. So now every time she gets hurt, I tell her to stop hurting her pretzel. But no, there's so many different games that we could play that I think it
Okay.
would just be
So
fun.
because you said that, I have the story I have to tell.
Uh
My wife had a moment of mishearing what I said.
oh.
And I know I have some friends and family that, they're trying to encourage me to go into the more spiritual way, but I do have to tell the story. And don't worry, it doesn't have cuss words in it.
Aw.
Now, when I first started gaining weight, I noticed that my stomach was starting to hang over a little bit. I was like, hey, babe, check this out. My belly hanged out past over my pant, hanged out past my pant. She swore I said my belly hanged out past my penis.
I can't say anything.
And when she said that, I was like, what? And we both laughed so hard. Now, this is also the same woman who, and I'm just as dumb. For years, I always thought that cheesecake was made out with like literally a Velveeta cheese pie.
Okay, I'm pretty much the same way.
Yeah, because it just says cheesecake. It doesn't say cream cheesesteak. It says cheesecake.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just like literally a cheese pie. And so when my wife asked me, we were at Walmart, just like right after we got married. She goes, "Hey, would you like some cheesecake?" And I was like, "Who the hell wants Velveeta pie?" And she looked at me. What? Yeah, I don't want Velveeta for my pie. She goes, "Oh my God, you're so stupid." In
I,
Walmart.
I, I, I can't say anything because I thought it was supposed like I thought there was like sharp cheese cake, and
Yeah,
I was
something.
the same thing. Um,
Yeah,
oh,
now I can't go without it.
I'm getting in trouble. Babe, I don't have my phone on me.
Oh, let me.
I can't answer it. I don't have my phone.
Okay, so yeah.
Sorry. I don't have my phone. I'm sorry. And yeah. uh, but no, like there's so many other games. Like I know there's one that you would really like, a game you would really like, and it's Lethal Company because it has everything. I don't have my phone. It's upstairs. But Lethal Company, I think you would really like. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
ever.
I've looked into that. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to play that. We need to play that.
A sci-fi version of American corporate business.
Yes. No, the watch is upstairs too. I didn't bring anything downstairs.
Not that he's trying to give you any wrong ideas, but
No, that's just I wanted to come hang out with my brother. And I honestly forgot my watch. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling good. I'll be honest. I still am not the best, but I
right.
don't know what's been going on. But past couple days, my chest has been really tight, and today it feels like somebody punched me into the ribs, to where even moving hurt and breathing hurt. So,
Well, a couple of things about that. I mean, one is, to the best of your knowledge, have you increased your sodium intake?
mm, not really. I've kept everything about the same.
Well, normal for you're used to or normal for your health? Because there is a difference.
I plead the fifth.
Because I mean, for a long time I used to have these heart skips, and I still do. And I always thought it was my heart. Well, come to find out, it wasn't my heart at all. It was something called a hiatal hernia,
Mm.
which is where part of the stomach goes up through the diaphragm into the chest cavity, which affects your breathing and your heart rate, your heartbeat. This can cause heart skip.
Hmm.
And so now that I've learned that, I've made some adjustments. I've lost. Well, up until Christmas, I was losing almost 50 pounds in 4 months.
Wow.
Excuse me, 40 pounds in 5 months. Sorry. I managed to gain probably about 10 of that back thanks to Christmas and New Year's Eve, but I'm going to lose it all again.
Who doesn't?
Um, but yeah, when I realized how much sodium I was taking and stupid small things, and not just sodium, but sugar, but little things that once I began to manage it, and it's not about cutting everything out, it's just scale it back, manage it, smaller portion, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can still eat all the stuff you love to eat and still lose weight and still maintain a healthy lifestyle if you regulate it. So I'm wondering, is there anything in your routine as far as your food that may have changed a little bit, or if it's just, now that you're getting older, what was what you could do in your 20s and 30s, you can't do in your 40s.
Oddly enough, we had a whole conversation, but it was a completely different topic. But but no, I mean, not really. The only thing that's been different for me is, and like I said, I just I had a really bad bout of depression recently, hence
Right.
my disappearance. Um, and ever since, my diet has been minimal. I'll just say that. Like, it's gotten better than what it was,
Mhm.
but you're talking almost bare minimum, absolute bare minimum.
Right.
And the only the only thing that would be different, I guess, is it's starting to come back, and I am a little bit eating a little bit more healthier than what I have been. Like, for those of you who know me, you know this is my life. This is my blood. I've cut this back to 2 a day, going from 10 to 12 a day down to 2. I've cut back on my cigarettes. I've cut back on a lot of different things. I even asked the Wicked Queen for water. Water. Anybody who knows me knows I don't drink water, not willingly. I asked her for water. and then I took
Well,
Felicia's water last night. But I'm changing my habits, and I included one of those daily vitamins, the men's daily vitamins, that
mhm,
multivitamin thing, and I've done that supplement too. So I've added that. Um,
right.
so I don't know if it's a side effect of everything that I'm changing. Maybe I'm changing too quickly.
It could be.
Um, maybe I need to wean myself. I mean, the the
Well,
the the supplement is supposed to be 2 a day, and I was doing that, and I let's just say I was going to the bathroom. I was going to the bathroom a lot. It was
right.
so. I mean, I've had some side effects with that, including some
Well,
migraines. But
right. But see, here's the thing you got to understand about supplements. This is something that I've just learned recently. Is you have to take into consideration what's already in your diet, because some of the stuff that's in the supplement you're already getting the recommended amount from the food that you eat. So when you take those supplements along with the food, your body could be getting in too much of certain vitamins and certain minerals.
well, see, I know these supplements I'm supposed to take um with food, and that says on the bottle recommended to take with food. I don't.
Mhm.
I take that into my multivitamin in the morning as soon as I get up.
Well, and then that's another issue because what's happening is that your body is breaking all that stuff down and all that is going right in your system right away. When you take it with food, it allows all that stuff to go into your system little by little.
Mm.
So there's that. The other issue is what you mentioned with water, because one of the times that I ended up in the hospital, the time where they had to stop my heart,
Yeah.
I was so dehydrated, my blood vessels were collapsing.
Hmm.
Didn't feel like it, but that was the case. So with that energy drink, you're dehydrating yourself.
Yeah.
Now the other thing is a lot of things that people make a mistake. I made this mistake recently, until recently, drinking Gatorade like it's the only thing. That is too much sodium for your body.
Yes.
One thing you can do to help balance that out, eat a banana because the potassium balances out the sodium.
And to be honest, like even when I was playing sports, I never drank Gatorade by itself.
Mhm.
I would always 50-50 it with water. Always.
Right.
Like I would buy the little bottles of Gatorade. Oh, Fedora. What's up, brother? Isn't it past your bedtime? And yes, I did. But even in high school, like I would have like a big water bottle and I'd pour a little bottle of Gatorade in and then fill the rest up with water. But but no, I don't usually drink Gatorade by itself unless I'm out hunting and then
Right. I mean,
I'm doing an activity like that. But um,
yeah.
I'm not sure. Like I'm starting to figure out my mental state, to be honest, and I know this year I want to start figuring out my body.
Well, you beat the prize how interconnected your mental health and your diet really is.
Oh, 100%. And it's actually like I've told Felicia. I told Felicia, and I've even told Mackenzie, the Wicked Queen. Stress does some terrible things to you,
Mhm.
and it's not just mentally; it's physically. It can have such a really bad physical effect that it's not just, oh, I feel bad. I'm just not going to take care of my. No, migraines, nausea, vomiting, pains, cramping, heart attacks, strokes,
Yeah. I
aneurysms.
I learned that recently because after I went and had my stress test done and then they did a scan of my chest cavity and I found out that it wasn't my heart, the relief of knowing that my heart was fine, literally, along with the change in my diet, lowered my blood pressure from 160 something, 170 something over 110
Hmm.
down to 132 over 82 in just a matter of days.
Mm.
Now, I'm taking amlodipine for my blood pressure, metoprolol for the heart rate, and then cannabis product to help with the anxiety and the stress, as well as the inflammation. Um, but I'm also walking every day.
Yeah.
And
Well,
not just like going to work, but I mean like literally walking at a pace to where I'm almost starting to get a little out of breath just to get that cardio up and going.
yeah.
And then again drinking water. Sometimes I mix a little lime with it. You think you've been peeing before? Drink water with lime in it.
Well,
The
even
first week I did that, holy crap.
Brian said that.
Mhm.
Brian's talked about that too, and he's right. And I've done it, and you're not lying. You just you almost want to take one of those camel bags or the bladder bags and just stick it right
Mhm.
down in your pants. Just walk
Yep.
around with that. But no, like I want to start bettering my body, and there's just so many things that need to change, and I know for me the way it is. Is it really Saturday? Oh fuck,
Mhm.
it is. But for me, I will not be able to do anything for my body physically without taking care of my mental state first, because I won't want to. That's the problem I ran into with this. Like even doing the podcast. And brother, you know me. I love this. I love doing these podcasts. I love doing the shows. I love networking, connecting, and enjoying myself. I didn't even want to do this. I wanted
Mhm.
nothing to do with the paranormal. I wanted nothing to do with the talk shows. I was about ready just to say fuck it and just sell all my podcasting equipment.
Right.
But well, thankfully I didn't. Um, but I mean, I isolated myself. I was in a very terrible spot. So I figured with this new year, I'm going to work on my mental state. I'm going to work on that first. That is top priority for me. It has to get it. I have to get it done. I owe it to my
Mhm.
daughter. I owe it to the Wicked Queen. I owe it to our girlfriend Felicia. I owe it to everybody, and I owe it to you guys
Right.
because y'all have been such an amazing support to me these past couple years, and it's just gotten so much better. Um, to just completely up and leave everybody. I it's not fair. It's not fair to everybody to just up and
Right.
disappear. And I even said to I don't know if you know Sean Kelly from.
Vaguely. I know who he is, but I've
Okay,
never spoken with him.
you should. He's a great guy. He is absolutely a great guy. But I was talking with him, and I said, it's terrible because people like um, people like him, Fedora, Scott, hell, even Raymond. You're a little bit further out there, but like other people are still somewhat close. That there's no reason why we all shouldn't get together once every couple months.
Mhm.
And I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, Fedora. Like that's something I think I need to do, and I think that's what we all should do. Find somebody near us and just go out and hang out. Not talk, not just
Right.
paranormal based, but to just go catch up, hang out, have some fun, maybe get some ideas for shows, maybe do some B-roll, is what it's called. Just go out and film something stupid. I mean, I don't know
Mhm.
how many times the Wicked Queen's yelled at me, but I've taken a lot of video of my phone or GoPro hanging out the window as we're
Mhm.
driving along. And she's like, "What are you fucking doing? B-roll."
Yep.
And just do stupid stuff and have some fun. And that's something I think we should all do. And um, when we're towards the end of the show, I told Aaron I got a special announcement. So you guys will understand a little bit more, but that's going to be happening. That's going to be happening. I'm going to start doing some stuff, and I have some plans. And I know you guys love this. I have ideas.
Okay. You know what? I think I'll end the show on that. Night thing, everybody. I will catch
Fucker would too. Well, I might as well say it. We segued into it. Might as well. So I don't know if it's the end of the show or not. I really don't fucking care because there's never a time limit with us hanging out. I mean, hell, it's already almost 3 hours. But
Yeah.
so I was talking to the Wicked Queen again, and
You were talking to her, or you were getting lectured by her.
a little bit of both. But I told her, I said, when I started feeling a little better, I said I want to start getting back into this slowly. Um, Paravid Studios is coming back. It's not going to be right away. Parabit Studios will be back, and I will be doing intros, outros, commercials. She is actually going to take over logo designs. So she will help individuals and help people with logos that they want to get designed for their teams, their shows, whatever. She's going to help design those. I will just create them. She will design them. So we're partnering up with that. And with also the help of our girlfriend Felicia, we are starting a new show.
Okay,
And
on the whole thing with the logo designs and stuff like that.
yeah,
If you guys want, I can certainly point you guys in the direction of certain tools that you'll be able to use to really be able to give you more versatility for what people will need.
okay. I know
We'll even
that's
show you how
something.
to use it too. So
I know that's something she really has a passion for. So I'm basically going to be the video side of it.
right,
She's going to be the design and all that good stuff. So I mean, maybe that's something you and her can get together with and discuss it.
absolutely.
But yeah, so we are doing that as a side hustle, if you will. Parabit Studios will be back, and that will be in full swing. That is going to be something a little bit bigger and better than what I originally had it. But it is coming back. The other thing is the Wicked Queen, myself, and our girlfriend Felicia will be hosting a brand new show together. The Wicked Queen and I are going to be the two main hosts. Felicia is just coming into the paranormal field, so she is going to be like a special guest host when she's available.
You have my sympathy.
Oh, she's just as bad. She's just as bad as the Wicked Queen. She's like a little protege to. She's like a Padawan, and she is learning too quickly. Poor me. Luckily, I have
Again, you have my sympathy.
Oh, I'm in trouble. But we are actually combining resources. We are taking a little bit of the shows that I do, like empowering my field and stuff like that, and we are taking hers, the creepy cult, and we are having a brand new show that we are calling Creepy Conspiracies. And this is why I said you're going to be a part. You'll love this. It is going to be a conspiracy show. It is going to be a cryptid show. It is going to be a paranormal show. It will also be a gaming show. To where we will play games from time to time. Or for those of you who have been waiting for it, we will probably have an all-out brawl where she will probably smack me around a couple of times. So you guys will get to watch that for free.
So basically, things that happens on an everyday basis, just now it'll be on video.
Exhibit A. but yes, we're calling it the creepy conspiracies. You're getting there. You'll learn. Oh well. Umbry decided she likes it, so so as long as she's happy.
Yeah, it's an ABC conversation. Is it A and B? See yourself out.
No, it's more of a see what we did.
Yeah.
But yes, so the new show again is going to be called Creepy Conspiracies. We're going to have a new logo in place. We're going to have a new thing in place. It's going to be a whole lot of different things. But the main thing is we're going to do this together, the three of us. Felicia wants to learn more about our world and the paranormal community. Great way to do this, and for her to learn about it. Wicked Queen wants to get back into her swing of things. She wants to get into more involvement with her show and start things up. And me, I miss you guys. I miss Parapost. I miss my family. I miss my friends. I miss you guys. And this is great therapy for me. And I hope you guys really enjoy seeing the shows and the stuff and the content that I do. I'm not doing it for me. I want to do it for you guys. So I want to make sure you guys are enjoying this. And I think it'll be a nice checks and balance thing. So that is the big announcement, folks. We are coming back, and we are coming back together.
All right.
So I'm excited.
All right. Well, it has been just about a 3-hour show. Haven't done that for a while.
Right?
And but you know, that's kind of the thing that makes these shows interesting is you never know what's gonna happen, which is one of the reasons why I came up with that weird show. But no matter what, everything we say, this is what we think, what we believe,
Yep.
Personally. And if you don't agree with it, that's all right.
Yeah.
You know,
You're wrong, but that's okay. No. I'm
um,
joking. I'm joking.
but I mean, if you ever want, if for anybody out there, if you ever want to come on the show and have a discussion about something, let me know. I'll be more than happy to get you on here. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your thoughts, all that. Um, if you find something that you don't agree with, just remember the reason why most people disagree with somebody is because they don't understand what the other experienced.
Yes.
I may not know what it's like to experience to be on the receiving end of racism as an African American would have,
Yes.
because I'm white. So I can't make my opinions about certain things if I don't understand. And that's pretty much what it is with all these podcasts. Just because you don't like something that you heard or you don't agree with something that you heard, just remember they went through some things that you haven't. And you've gone through things that I haven't. In order for us to really be able to make any kind of effective change, whether it be through spirituality, if you want to be a Christian, if you want to be a Muslim, if you want to be in the paranormal, whatever it is, make sure you commit to it. Don't just be wishy-washy about it.
And if I can add to that real quick, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
If somebody has a differing opinion, don't ask anything else but why.
Mm-hmm.
Why is your opinion different? We are so quick to judge when somebody has a different opinion about anything. It's like immediate negativity. Let's have some curiosity. And I forget what show. I want to say it was The League. But I'll have to send the clip out. I'll have to find it. But the bottom line is everyone's so quick to judge other people on their looks, their mannerisms, what they say, what they do, but nobody is curious and nobody asks why. And be
Right.
genuine. If say Shadow's opinion differs from mine, I'm going to ask why. I want to know because maybe I'm wondering the same thing. Maybe I'm looking for that same answer. Maybe he has more knowledge of something that I just don't.
Right.
That's networking. That's communicating. And to be honest, that's those who are out there preaching unity. That's where that starts.
Mm-hmm.
Start asking why, and be open to receive it.
Well, and I don't have to agree with you,
No,
but I don't have to hate you either.
no. I mean, hell, there's a lot of things that you and I disagree about.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've had a few, headbutt along the way.
Yeah, but I still consider you my brother. I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold anything against you.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap that up for this show with that.
Well, I
And,
appreciate you hosting for me because just so you guys know, this was kind of my idea. I threw it out there. It's been a while since Aaron and I have actually sat down and just shot the shit, just had some fun and kicked the hornet's nest around. And I thought, it's time. But I appreciate you hosting, brother. I really do.
No problem. No problem. I mean, whether it's your show or my show, anytime we have these interesting conversations, it's always been, illuminating.
That's why we're here and Raymond's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I were to take this into post-production, if I had you and Raymond, everything on yours and Raymond's end would sound like R2D2. If I had to beep everything out.
I mean, we could really have some fun with it, but
but real quick, are there any other sites? Are there any Facebook pages or sites that you want to direct people to?
the only thing I will say, folks, is pay attention if you haven't already to Paranormal Consultant on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
I am on TikTok. It's MB Paraconsult, but then I'm not going to do too much with that just yet. That's going to be the key there yet. But definitely pay attention to Paranormal Consultant, Facebook, and YouTube. Links and different things will be announced, and start dates for this new show will be announced. But it is definitely in the works. It is definitely happening. I'm going to officially say it now on this show. I'm back, bitches. And y'all are fucked now because I'm bringing the Wicked Queen.
Well, you know it. Anytime there's a warning like that, pull up them panties and tighten up them knickers.
Yep, and I can't wait for you guys to meet Felicia. She's a lot of fun. She is a lot of fun, and I think it's gonna balance everything out, and you guys are gonna enjoy meeting her.
Well, it would be good to meet her before you guys change her.
Oh, trust me, the corruption in the community is gonna be a lot of fun, and I mean that in a positive way.
All right. Well, that is going to be it for that weird show tonight. Matt, it's always fun to have you on, and we'll definitely get you on again.
Appreciate it, brother. I always love hanging out with you. And thank you, everybody, for popping in. I love you guys, and I can't wait to be back full swing.
For sure. All right. Well, I'll let you say your bit to close out, and then I'll say mine.
All right, fine. Well, I guess with that, y'all have yourselves a great rest of your night. Have fun. And I think Aaron and I can both agree, stay safe. And as always, guys, happy hauntings.
All right. And on my end, be smart, be safe, be kind to one another, because you never know, your one act of kindness might change somebody's life. And most importantly, always stay weird.